Chapter 1879. Young Master Wuchen, it's all Lu Ming's fault. Otherwise, we would have taken down Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others. Mo Lang said respectfully. Oh, I've heard of Lu Ming. He stirred up a storm in the ancient moon's sacred ground some time ago. It's a pity that the Wind clan hadn't appeared yet. Otherwise, we would have suppressed him long ago. Feng Wuchen sneered and said, Young Master Wuchen, we also mentioned your name, but Lu Ming didn't give us any face at all. He even said that if you're unhappy, you can look for him directly. The Golden Crow Second Prince added, Arrogant and ignorant. You're courting death. Beside Feng Wuchen, another young man in a green robe said coldly. He was also a sky pride of the Wind clan, but he wasn't as strong as Feng Wuchen. You want me to look for him? Fine. I'll go look for him. From now on, those people don't have to stay in the Origin Mountain's sacred court. Feng Wuchen said indifferently. With his hands behind his back, he took a step forward and headed outside. The other sky prides of the Wind clan, Mo Lang, the Golden Crow Second Prince, and the others followed. On the mountain where Lu Ming and the others lived, two figures were fighting fiercely in a spacious area, erupting with terrifying energy waves. These two people were Long Chen and Huang Li. After 2 months of cultivation, Long Chen's cultivation had finally reached the Great Sage Great Perfection. As soon as he reached the Great Sage Great Perfection, Huang Li found him. The two of them had nothing to say and started fighting fiercely. Their battle was very similar. It was direct, brutal, and domineering. It was like a battle between two ancient beasts. Long Chen's arms swelled up several times as he activated the law of force to the extreme. Both of his fists punched out continuously. Every time he punched out, a giant elephant would soar into the sky and crush Huang Li. Huang Li's muscles bulged, and his eyes shone with a wild radiance. He roared and punched out continuously. Every punch would destroy a giant elephant. The two of them exchanged hundreds of blows before retreating to the side. They stared at each other like two savage beasts. Ah, this is great. How about we fight another day? Huang Li suddenly laughed. That's what I want. Let's fight another day. Long Chen's fighting spirit was not weak at all. They looked at each other with a feeling of mutual appreciation and regret that they hadn't met earlier. The two of them grasped the same laws and fought against each other. It would be a great boost to both of them, and they would be able to better find their own shortcomings. As for the Purgatory Valley, although one could condense a figure with the same laws as oneself after entering, it was still condensed from a large array after all. There was still a huge gap between it and a true genius, a real person. Real people had their own thoughts. They were able to comprehend and see through weaknesses. Naturally, the results would be better when they fought against each other. The two of them stopped fighting and sat down cross-legged, absorbing the origin stones to recover their true essence. Not long after, the two opened their eyes at the same time and looked in the same direction. In that direction, a terrifying tornado with the power of destruction swept towards the mountain peak where they lived. Who is it? Block it! Long Chen and Huang Li roared at the same time. Their bodies soared into the sky and rushed towards the tornado. Both of their fists punched out continuously. Streaks of terrifying fist force blasted towards the tornado. After dozens of consecutive fist forces, the tornado was finally blocked. The two of them looked gloomy. The other party was too bold to attack them directly at their residence and wanted to destroy their courtyard. This was a slap in the face and a humiliation. In the distance, a youth in a green robe with his hands behind his back flew over. It was Feng Wuchen. Two people with the power regal body. It's really rare. Feng Wuchen looked at Long Chen and Huang Li in amazement. Feng Wuchen, Long Chen said with a serious expression. This guy is Feng Wuchen. He's so pretentious. I'll beat him until he cries. Huang Li grinned, his eyes fierce. At this moment, other figures flew up from the mountain peak and came behind Huang Li and Long Chen. A few of them were the Desolate Race's geniuses, while the others were the geniuses of the Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, and Thunder God Sect. At the same time, the other geniuses of the Feng race, as well as Mo Lang, the Golden Crow Second Prince, and the others, arrived and stood behind Feng Wuchen. Both sides were ready to fight. Powerful auras clashed in the air. The fluctuations here naturally alarmed the geniuses of the other mountain peaks. Many figures stood in the void and watched from afar. It's Feng Wuchen. Feng Wuchen has come out of seclusion. I knew it. Once Feng Wuchen comes out, he will definitely make a move. He won't let Long Chen and the others off easily. I wonder how they will deal with Feng Wuchen. Looks like there will be another intense battle. Many people spoke, looking forward to it. Previously, Lu Ming had killed the Golden Crow Crown Prince. How would Feng Wuchen treat Lu Ming and the others? Feng Wuchen smiled faintly and said, "The two of you are rare talents. Join me and work for me. I will make you my right-hand men. I won't treat you badly." He still wanted to subdue Huang Li and Long Qin. If he had the help of two people with the regal body, he would definitely have a place in the Origin Mountain Sacred Court. Work for you? You should take a piss and look at yourself. Who do you think you are? Huang Li cursed out loud. You only know how to suppress others with your cultivation level. You want us to join you? What a joke. Long Qin sneered. They were both people with the regal body. Why would they join Feng Wuchen? Did Feng Wuchen have the right to do that? Feng Wuchen's cultivation level was only slightly higher. As long as they broke through and caught up to Feng Wuchen, they wouldn't be afraid of him at all. Stubborn. I want to see what right you have to be so arrogant in front of me. Feng Wuchen's face darkened. He stepped forward and the wind howled. Endless destructive wind appeared out of nowhere and wreaked havoc. Every gust of wind was like a terrifying destructive divine weapon, slicing through the space, causing hideous scars to appear in the space. Feng Wuchen also had the regal body. He controlled the destructive wind law and was a lesser absolute saint. Although his cultivation level was the same as the Golden Crow Crown Prince's, his combat power was much stronger than the Crown Prince's. Long Chen and Huang Li both looked solemn. The sacred power in their bodies circulated crazily. They used the extreme force law with all their might. They were like two wild beasts, ready to attack at any time. Destroy! Feng Wuchen pressed down with one hand, and a terrifying destructive wind swept toward Long Chen and Huang Li. Boom! Boom! Long Chen and Huang Li attacked at the same time. They punched continuously, and the sky shook. The air was compressed together, forming a terrifying force that blasted toward the destructive wind. The sky kept exploding, and dozens of explosions sounded. Long Chen and Huang Li's bodies shook, and they retreated. Not bad. You managed to block one of my attacks. Continue. Feng Wuchen's body was wrapped in the wind. He continued to step forward. With every step he took, the wind became more violent. It swept across the sky, and the clouds in the sky were swept away by the wind. Chapter 1880. Mighty Divine Statue Fist. An elephant's roar resounded through the sky. Long Chen's Saint Force surged as he punched out. A huge primordial dragon-esque elephant appeared. It roared into the sky and charged forward. Mighty Star Fist. Huang Li punched out as well. A star appeared on his fist. It was as if he was pushing the star towards the tornadoes. Both of their fists were filled with boundless power. They could break through anything and break through the sky. The huge elephant and star collided with the two tornadoes. There was an earth-shattering boom. Finally, the two tornadoes were blocked and dissipated in the sky. Feng Wuchen's face darkened as his two attacks were blocked. He was an absolute saint. It would be embarrassing if he couldn't take down two supreme saints easily. Destructive storm blades. Feng Wuchen roared. Countless blades appeared around him. They were incomparably sharp and contained destructive power. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Destructive storm blades charged towards Long Chen and Desolate Force. Long Chen and Huang Li tried their best to block, but their cultivation levels were too low. They were in danger. Then leave these people to us. A Wind Tribe genius stared at Phoenix Palace. The others from the Divine Elephant sect stepped out towards them. Mo Lang, the Golden Crow Second Prince, and the others followed and launched terrifying attacks. Spread the news. Gather everyone and defend. A Phoenix Palace genius shouted. Everyone used their voice transmission jade talismans to spread the news. Then they started to defend. Some of them were still cultivating in the Sacred Institute and weren't here. They were few in number, so they could only defend. A few youths from the desolate race stepped forward and stood in front of the crowd. They swung their huge axes and maces, sending a few geniuses flying. They're so strong. A few of them have superior heaven spiritual bodies. These people are burly and different from ordinary people. Where are they from? Mo Lang exchanged a blow with a desolate race youth and was sent flying. His body was numb and he felt a sharp pain in his arm. His bones were almost broken. They might be from the desolate race, one of the ancient races. A wind tribe genius said. As an ancient race, they naturally knew about the desolate race. Ancient race. Mo Lang and the others gasped. The ancient race had been passed down since ancient times. They had terrifying secret techniques and had unfathomable heritage. None of the ancient races could be underestimated. Leave these desolate race youths to us. You guys deal with the others. The elite from the Feng clan spoke as a terrifying gust of wind emanated from his body. He charged towards the youth from the desolate race. Mo Lang and the others attacked the others. Although killing was forbidden in the Sacred Institute, it was fine as long as they weren't crippled or killed. They were going to beat these stubborn people from Phoenix Palace and Divine Elephant Sect half to death, and then throw them out of the Origin Mountain Holy Court. The desolate race, Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, Thunder God Sect, and other sects had fewer people. They were momentarily at a disadvantage, with some of them injured. As for Long Chen and Huang Li, they did not have it easy either. They were at a disadvantage and they were forced to retreat. If it weren't for the fact that both of them cultivated the law of force, and that their spirit bodies were known for their strength, which meant that their defensive capabilities were equally strong, they would have already been defeated. But even so, they couldn't hold on for long. Just as they were in danger, a figure flew over from afar. Before the person arrived, a cold and hot aura burst out. Two scimitars spun rapidly, forming a terrifying destructive force that pressed down on Feng Wuchen. Autumn Moon had arrived. Yin-yang laws. Feng Wuchen's eyes narrowed. He waved his hand and destructive storm blades slashed at Autumn Moon. They collided with Autumn Moon's two scimitars, causing sparks to fly. Kill! Kill! Long Chen and Huang Li seized the opportunity and launched a fierce attack. They destroyed dozens of destructive storm blades in succession. Their fist force was like a rainbow piercing through the sun as it blasted towards Feng Wuchen. You want to fight back? You're still far from it. Feng Wuchen said coldly. He opened his mouth and blew out an endless gust of wind, shattering Long Chen and Huang. Autumn Moon, Long Chen and Huang. Huang joined forces and engaged in a fierce battle with Feng Wuchen. 3 perfect Supreme Saints. It's amazing. But even if the 3 of them join forces, they might not be able to fight Feng Wuchen. That's right. If there's one more person, they might be able to fight. I wonder if Huang Ling has broken through to the perfect Supreme Saint. The crowd in the distance discussed. Swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, figures flew over from afar. They were people from Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, and the Desolate Race. They had received the message and rushed over. Take my hammer. Huang Di waved his 2 giant hammers and rushed over from afar. The hammers were like a whirlwind, smashing at the Golden Crow's second prince. The powerful pressure from the hammers shocked the Golden Crow's second prince. He used his great sun divine flame to resist. But when the hammers fell, the Golden Crow's second prince screamed. His wings exploded, and his body was sent flying. He was severely injured. Although the Golden Crow's second prince was a perfect Supreme Saint, his spirit body was only a mid-grade heaven spirit body. He was no match for Huang Di and was severely injured. As the elites from the Desolate Race, Phoenix Palace, and other sects rushed back, they finally stabilized the situation. But they were still at a disadvantage. After all, the other party had elites from the Feng clan. In addition to Sky Wolf Pagoda, One Family, and the Golden Crow clan, there were at least a dozen elites from the ancient Moon Sacred Land who had submitted to the Feng clan. With so many elites gathered together, there were too many of them. The desolate race, Phoenix Palace, and other sects could only defend and could not counterattack. And as time passed, more and more people were injured. At that moment, a phoenix's cry resounded through the sky. A flaming phoenix flew over rapidly, enveloping the elites from Sky Wolf Pagoda and the Golden Crow clan. "It's the undying flame!" someone exclaimed. Bam, bam. The flaming phoenix's cry caused the undying flame laws to circulate. One by one, the young elites were sent flying, vomiting blood. Some of the weaker ones were severely injured and could no longer fight. "It's Huang Ling, damn it. She has also broken through to the perfect Supreme Saint realm," Mo Lang roared. In the next moment, an undying flame shot towards Ink Wolf, sending him flying and spitting out blood. Huang Ling had broken through to the perfect Supreme Saint realm. She was almost invincible among those of the same level. Even though the Feng clan had a few elites with high-grade heaven spirit bodies, they were no match for her. They were suppressed by Huang Ling and were eventually injured by her. Their combat strength was greatly reduced. With Huang Ling's addition, they immediately stabilized the situation and gained the upper hand. "Huang Ling, go help Long Chen and the rest. We can hold them off," Mu Qingxue shouted. Huang Ling had injured the strongest elites of the other party. The other party's combat strength was greatly reduced. On their side, they had the desolate race's experts working together, so they had no problem protecting themselves. "All right, be careful." Chapter 1881. Huang Ling had the immortal heavenly phoenix body and could control the immortal fire law. Her vitality was extremely strong. She seemed to have turned into the immortal fire and rushed towards Feng Wuchen. She was not afraid of the destructive wind and blocked it. Autumn Moon, Long Chen, and Desolate Force seized the opportunity to attack. Feng Wuchen was pushed back a few thousand meters. "Don't think that you can win by outnumbering me," Feng Wuchen roared. His body turned transparent as if he was going to turn into a gust of wind. The gust of wind grew stronger and more intense. Tornadoes formed around Feng Wuchen. Other than that, there were also destructive wind blades. The destructive attack swept towards Long Chen and the rest. "I'll block it. You guys attack." "Immortal Cage," Huang Ling shouted. Endless flames spread out and turned into a huge flaming cage. It blocked the destructive wind and blocked it. Long Chen and Desolate Force stepped forward and appeared beside Huang Ling to protect her. At the same time, they attacked Feng Wuchen fiercely. Autumn Moon stood behind Huang Ling and the rest. He did not have to worry about his own defense and attacked with all his might. Autumn Moon attacked with all his might. His attack power was terrifying. The two scimitars were supported by the Yin and Yang law and had shocking destructive power. They kept attacking Feng Wuchen. The area seemed to be about to explode. The others were far away from the battlefield. The Battle of the Five Kings. 4 great sage complete realm king bodies were fighting against a lesser absolute saint king body. This was a rare sight to behold. At that moment, more and more people were watching the battle from afar. Even many powerful geniuses who were in seclusion had appeared. A group of people in white robes was very eye-catching. Among them, there was a beautiful lady who attracted the attention of many. If Lu Ming was here, he would be shocked. That lady was Xian Yanjuan. "It's the ancient sacred tribe." "Who is that lady?" "She's so beautiful. I heard that she's a terrifying genius from the ancient sacred tribe. She's very powerful." Many people looked at Xian Yanjuan and the rest and discussed secretly. But soon, everyone's attention was focused on the battle in front of them. 4-peak Great Saint Monarch physiques, it's really amazing. If they all break through to Absolute Saint Realm, I'm afraid they will stir up a storm in Yuan Mountain Holy Courtyard. How strange. King physiques have always been arrogant and solitary. Why would these 4 king physiques gather together and fight against Feng Wuchen? I think it's because of someone called Lu Ming. Lu Ming. You guys have been in seclusion all this time, so you don't know. This Lu Ming just joined the Origin Mountain Academy not long ago. He is a son of chaos. What? Son of chaos? Some people exclaimed. They didn't expect another son of chaos to appear in Yuan Mountain's Sacred Academy. No wonder so many king bodies had gathered together. If it was because of the Son of Chaos, then it wouldn't be strange. Lu Ming! Xian Yanjuan murmured as a strange light flickered in her eyes. At this time, Long Chen and the other three joined forces to fight against Feng Wuchen and finally turn the tables. However, Feng Wuchen's cultivation was at absolute saint realm, so it was almost impossible for them to win. But with the four of them working together, it would be difficult for Feng Wuchen to win. The battle was very fierce, but the two sides were evenly matched. Hee, it's really intense. At this time, a cold laugh was heard as two young men came together. It's them, Luo Pokong and Kong Lang. Seeing these two people, many people's faces changed drastically. Why are the two of them together? Many people's faces were solemn. This was because Luo Pokong and Kong Lang both had king physiques, and they had both broken through to Absolute Saint Realm not long ago. Two Absolute Saint Realm king physiques came together. It's that bitch. Luo Pokong looked directly at Autumn Moon, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Back in the ancient Sun's sacred ground, he was defeated by Lu Ming because of Autumn Moon and Lost Face. Brother Luo, do you know that woman? Kong Lang laughed. That woman is the woman that my brother, Luo Changqiong, likes, but she goes against the Daluo Heaven sect every day. I don't know where she went some time ago, and I didn't expect to see her here. I'll take her down and send her to my brother. Then, Luo Pokong stepped out. The penetrating law flowed around his body, and his body seemed to be able to penetrate the void. His speed was amazing, and in an instant, he appeared not far from Autumn Moon. He stretched out his hand and grabbed out. His 5 fingers were like 5 long spears as they pierced towards Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon's face changed drastically. She didn't expect that someone would suddenly attack her. Luo Pokong! Autumn Moon shouted. She had to use all her strength to take back her 2 scimitars and attack Luo Pokong. But now that Luo Pokong had broken through to Absolute Saint Realm, his battle strength had increased tremendously. With a grab of his fingers, Autumn Moon's 2 scimitars were knocked away. Autumn Moon, leave these people and go to my brother, Luo Changqiong. Luo Pokong said coldly. Don't even think about it. No matter who I choose, I won't choose Luo Changqiong. Let him give up. Autumn Moon said coldly. Her master had told her that Luo Changqiong had taken away a part of her memory in order to get her. She only had hatred for Luo Changqiong. You don't know what's good for you. It's your blessing that my brother likes you. Luo Pokong's face sank. He kept pointing his fingers, and a terrifying spear beam pierced through the void and blasted toward Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon quickly retreated and used all her strength to resist, but she was still at a disadvantage and was in imminent danger. Not good, Miss Autumn Moon is in danger. I'll go help her. Huang Li's face changed drastically. Lu Ming was an external elder of the Desolate race. He had done a lot for the Desolate race and had a respected status. And Autumn Moon and Lu Ming had a good relationship. They had gone to the Desolate race together, so Huang Li could not let anything happen to Autumn Moon. His figure flashed and rushed toward Luo Pokong, his fists constantly attacking. You're overestimating yourself. A spear appeared in Luo Pokong's hand. With a shake of the spear, a spear beam pierced out and destroyed Huang Li's fist force, causing Huang Li to retreat quickly. On the other side, Autumn Moon took the opportunity to attack Luo Pokong. However, Luo Pokong's cultivation level was too strong. With a sweep of his spear, he destroyed Autumn Moon's attack. Huang Li took the opportunity to rush to Autumn Moon's side and joined forces with Autumn Moon to fight Luo Pokong. However, Luo Pokong also had a king body and his cultivation level was at the Absolute Saint Realm. Although he had just broken through to the Absolute Saint Realm, his combat strength was slightly weaker than Feng Wuchen's, but not by much. Even if Huang Li and Autumn Moon joined forces, they were still no match for him. And on the other side, Huang Ling and Long Chen were completely at a disadvantage. In this battle, because of Luo Pokong's intervention, the situation had changed. In this battle, Huang Ling, Long Chen and company are in trouble. They are no match for 2 absolute saints with king bodies. That's right, they will probably be seriously injured and thrown out of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Courtyard. They will lose all their face. Some people sighed. Chapter 1882. In the Divine Ability Purgatory Valley, Lu Ming finally broke through the shackles after a period of cultivation. He broke through to the great Saint Perfection, and his aura skyrocketed. Around him, the origin stones exploded, turning into billowing origin chi that surged into Lu Ming's body and turned into Saint Force. Lu Ming had 2 Saint Hearts in his body. At this time, he had reached the great Saint Perfection, and his Saint Force was extremely strong. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming's aura was retracted. I've gained a lot from this cultivation. My cultivation has broken through to the great Saint Perfection, and my chaotic tribulation finger has also reached 80%. It's time to go out. Lu Ming thought to himself. He had killed the Golden Crow Crown Prince last time. If the people of the Feng clan came out of seclusion, he wondered if they would take revenge. Although killing was not allowed in the Saint Court of Yuan Mountain, as long as one did not enter the life and death arena, it would be fine. But Lu Ming was still worried. Lu Ming stepped forward and went to the exit of the Divine Ability Purgatory Valley. He went back very quickly, and there was no obstruction. After a while, Lu Ming exited the Divine Ability Purgatory Valley. It seems that bubble is still cultivating. Lu Ming smiled slightly, and then his expression changed. The moment he came out, there seemed to be a message from the voice transmission Jade Talisman. Lu Ming took out the voice transmission Jade Talisman and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. His face suddenly changed. It was a message from the people of the Phoenix Palace. Huang Ling and the others were facing a crisis at this moment. In fact, some of the elites of the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect had been constantly sending him messages. Previously, he was in the Divine Ability Purgatory Valley and could not send messages, but they did not give up and continued to send messages. Now that Lu Ming came out of seclusion, he naturally received the news. The Feng clan and Luo Pokong. A sharp light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Then he circulated his Saint Force, and his body cut through the void like a ray of light. At this moment, whether it was Autumn Moon, Huang Li, Huang Ling, or Long Chen, they were all in danger. The 4 of them were no match for Feng Wuchen and Luo Pokong at all. The long spear in Luo Pokong's hand shot out explosively, turning into a spear beam that pierced towards Autumn Moon and Desolate Force's vital points. Every single spear light contained the power of the law of penetration. It was capable of penetrating everything, including other laws. At this moment, there were 2 places on Huang Li's body that had been pierced by the spear radiance. The front and back of the spear radiance were penetrated and fresh blood was flowing out. If not for the Desolate race having a special physique that made them extremely strong and resilient, they probably would not have been able to continue fighting. However, he still stood in front of Autumn Moon. The 2 of them unleashed their full strength and fought with Luo Pokong. Huang Li narrowly avoided a spear light, otherwise he would have been pierced through again. At this moment, Huang Ling and Long Chen's situation was not much better. Even with Huang Ling's terrifying vitality, her face was still pale. Where is Lu Ming? Where is he hiding? Tell him to come out and fight me. Luo Pokong shouted coldly. Last time, he had been defeated by Lu Ming and lost all his face. This time, he had broken through to the Saint Realm, so he must humiliate Lu Ming. If Lu Ming makes a move, I'm afraid you won't be able to handle him. Huang Li grinned. This person was defeated by Lu Ming the last time. Autumn Moon said. Ah, so that's the case. So it's someone who was defeated by Lu Ming. You still have the cheek to come here? Huang Li laughed loudly. Shut up. If Lu Ming dares to appear, I will make him kneel in front of me and beg for mercy. Unfortunately, he has become a tortoise, hiding and not daring to show himself. Luo Pokong sneered. Are you looking for me? Suddenly, a cold voice came from afar. Following that, a beam of light flew over from afar at an astonishing speed. In a blink of an eye, it had arrived. The beam of light did not stop as it charged straight at Luo Pokong. Large prison-suppressing monuments appeared and suppressed Luo Pokong. Lu Ming! Luo Pokong roared angrily as his spear stabbed out, stabbing at the prison-suppressing monument phantoms. The prison-suppressing monument phantoms exploded and Luo Pokong's body trembled as he retreated a few steps. Swish. The light receded and Lu Ming's figure appeared. It's Lu Ming. Huang Ling and company's hearts skipped a beat as they revealed looks of joy. Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, and the Desolate Race were also delighted. For some reason, whenever they saw Lu Ming descend, their hearts would calm down. It was as if Lu Ming could turn the tide. Lu Ming, long time no see. I wonder if you can turn the tide under such circumstances? In the distance, Xian Yanjuan whispered among the ancient sacred tribe. Is this person the son of chaos? Some people who had never seen Lu Ming could not help but whisper as they revealed looks of curiosity and anticipation. Could the appearance of the son of chaos change the situation? Autumn Moon, Huang Li, go help Huang Ling and company. Leave this person to me. Lu Ming said. All right. Without hesitation, Autumn Moon and Huang Li charged at Feng Wuchen. With the help of Autumn Moon and Huang Li, the situation was finally stabilized. Ah, Lu Ming, you came at the right time. Today, I will trample you under my feet and make you suffer all kinds of humiliation. Luo Pokong looked at Lu Ming, his eyes flashing with cold, murderous intent. Now that he had broken through to the absolute saint realm, his combat strength had skyrocketed. He was 100% confident that he could defeat Lu Ming. Just now, he had been pushed back a few steps by Lu Ming because he was in a hurry and did not use much of his strength. Loser, since you have already been defeated once, you will never be my match in the future. Lu Ming said coldly, full of strong confidence and the belief that he would not be defeated. This time, the loser is you. Luo Pokong's spear vibrated as hundreds of spear beams appeared and stabbed at Lu Ming. Insignificant skill. Break it. Lu Ming used the suppressing hell skill and punched out continuously. Many tall suppressing hell steels appeared, suppressing everything. Bam, bam, bam. The spear beams exploded as they were suppressed by the suppressing hell steels, turning into energy and dissipating. Lu Ming took a step forward, breaking through the attack of the spear gleams and charging toward Luo Pokong. Luo Pokong's face darkened. His spear buzzed and stabbed at Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Clang! A gigantic prison-suppressing steel appeared and clashed with the long spear, colliding heavily. Dunk! The suppressing hell steel's phantoms exploded as the spear vibrated. Lu Ming and Luo Pokong's bodies shook at the same time, and they retreated a few steps. Many of the onlookers in the distance were shocked. So strong. He can fight against an absolute saint with a king-type body. Someone said in shock. As soon as he attacked, Lu Ming's cultivation was exposed. He was a complete supreme saint. For example, Huang Ling and the others had to join forces with 4 king bodies to resist Feng Wuchen. And Lu Ming could fight with Luo Pokong alone. As expected of the son of chaos, his combat strength is terrifying. Someone exclaimed. Luo Pokong's face darkened as the murderous intent in his eyes intensified. Kill. The long spear pierced toward Lu Ming at the speed of lightning. The power of penetrating the power of laws was astonishing. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He stepped forward and attacked with the suppressing hell skill. Chapter 1883. That's all you got after breaking through to the absolute saint realm. What a disappointment. Lu Ming's words were full of sarcasm. The annihilation strike. Luo Pokong roared as he unleashed his most powerful attack with his divine ability. Chaotic Calamity Finger. Lu Ming pointed his finger and the Chaotic Calamity Finger exploded, clashing with Luo Pokong's long spear. Buzz. The long spear shook violently as if it was under great pressure. Luo Pokong's body shook violently as he retreated. Luo Pokong's superpower was around 85%, and it was the Law of Kings. Its power was already very shocking. Lu Ming's superpower was at 80%, but it was the Law of Chaos. Its power was equivalent to 90% of the Law of Kings. It was still stronger than Luo Pokong's. Your most powerful attack is only SOSO. Suppress. Lu Ming pointed his fingers continuously. The energy between heaven and earth gathered toward Lu Ming's fingers in a frenzy. A few huge fingers formed continuously and pointed toward Luo Pokong. Extreme penetration, Luo Pokong shouted. His body seemed to have arched, and then he shot out, bursting out with astonishing power. His long spear, with the support of the absolute Saint Realm Saint Force, became even more powerful and clashed with Lu Ming. Boom, boom, boom. After a few explosions, Luo Pokong retreated again. Luo Pokong retreated while Lu Ming advanced. His right finger kept pointing, using the chaotic calamity finger. On his left hand, the law of arrays was activated and endless runes spread out, forming a sealing power that covered Luo Pokong. Luo Pokong kept retreating, not daring to let the sealing power touch him. Luo Pokong is at a disadvantage. Lu Ming's strength is terrifying. The other geniuses were shocked when they saw this. Before, Lu Ming could resist Luo Pokong, which was already shocking. Now, Lu Ming was actually suppressing Luo Pokong. Luo Pokong, didn't you want to trample me under your feet today? Why do you keep retreating? Lu Ming's words were filled with mockery. However, his attacks did not stop at all. Instead, they became even more violent. With the law of primal chaos in his right hand, he unleashed the primal chaos tribulation finger. In his left hand, endless runes filled the air, forming a sealing power that was about to seal Luo Pokong. Although Luo Pokong's penetrative power was strong, he was suppressed by the primal chaos finger and could only retreat continuously. He was completely at a disadvantage. Luo Pokong hated Lu Ming to the core. Last time in the ancient Sun Holy Land, in the Soul Holy Palace, he was defeated by Lu Ming with his Great Sage Great Mastery Cultivation base. He was humiliated by Lu Ming in public. Now, he entered the Yuanshan Academy and broke through to the Saint Realm in one fell swoop. He was full of ambition and wanted to compete with the heroes of the world. He wanted to completely trample Lu Ming under his feet. However, when he encountered Lu Ming, he was still no match for him and was suppressed. He felt a lump of air stuck in his chest, and it was extremely uncomfortable. The fingers of Lu Ming's right hand pointed at the void continuously. Afterward, in the sky, an incomparably huge finger was formed. It was as if a god had stretched out a finger from an eternal unknown place and pressed toward Luo Pokong. The scene was extremely shocking. Luo Pokong tried his best to stab out with his spear. A shocking spear light soared into the sky, trying to pierce through the finger, but the result was that the spear light exploded, and Luo Pokong was blasted from the sky and fell to the ground. Boom! Luo Pokong fell to the ground, and the ground exploded, creating a huge pit. Although he stood firm, his face was pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. I said that I can defeat you once, and I can defeat you a second time. You will never be my opponent. When you are defeated by me, you are no longer worthy of being my opponent. Lu Ming stepped forward, looking down at Luo Pokong from above. Luo Pokong's face turned from pale to ashen, and his eyes were full of anger and killing intent. You just have the upper hand for a while, and you dare to say that Brother Luo is not worthy of being your opponent. You are really arrogant. Brother Luo, let me help you. Not far away, Kong Lang said indifferently, and then stepped out. Endless waves appeared around his body. Kong Lang wanted to join forces with Luo Pokong to deal with Lu Ming. Alright, let's join forces and severely injure this kid, and then take him out of the Origin Mountain Sacred Courtyard and cripple him. I want him to live like a dog for the rest of his life. Luo Pokong said. His voice was incomparably cold and filled with endless killing intent. He had been defeated by Lu Ming repeatedly, and his heart had been left with an inner demon. Kong Lang stepped on the waves and moved toward Lu Ming. Kong Lang is really going to make a move. Many people were moved. Kong Lang and Luo Pokong came together, and their relationship was indeed deep. At this moment, Kong Lang wanted to join forces with Luo Pokong. Although Lu Ming's combat strength was strong, it was impossible for him to be a match for Luo Pokong and Kong Lang. It seemed that Lu Ming's side was going to lose this battle. Many people sighed. Lu Ming's side was mainly because their cultivation was too weak. If only one of them had reached the Saint Realm, the situation would not be so passive. Two Saint Realm King bodies teaming up to fight a Supreme Saint. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed? At this time, a crisp voice was heard. The voice was very pleasant, and it was unforgettable after hearing it once. "Who is it?" Kong Lang shouted, and his eyes swept around. In the distance, a graceful figure walked in the air. "It's Luo Tianyi," someone exclaimed, recognizing the person. Lu Ming's mouth also curved into a smile. Luo Tianyi had come. Luo Tianyi walked in the air and walked toward Kong Lang. She said, "If you want to fight, I will fight with you." "Humph, Luo Tianyi, you are only ranked 36th on the King Sage board. If you want to fight, I will fight with you. After I defeat you, it will not be too late to fight Lu Ming." Kong Lang snorted and walked toward Luo Tianyi. Under his feet, huge waves surged as if they were going to destroy everything. At this time, Luo Tianyi's eyes turned pitch black, as if they had turned into two abysses. Kong Lang's body suddenly stopped. The huge waves under his feet kept rolling, and his body trembled slightly. "Illusion, break!" Kong Lang shouted and waved his hands. In an instant, huge waves rose to the sky, as if they were going to break Luo Tianyi's illusion. However, when the huge waves rushed toward Luo Tianyi, they automatically parted, as if they were deliberately avoiding her. After a while, Kong Lang's body trembled, and his face turned red. He spat out a mouthful of blood. At this time, Luo Tianyi's eyes returned to normal. She said calmly, "You are no match for me." Kong Lang was shocked. They had only exchanged blows for a short while, and he was already injured. He could not break Luo Tianyi's illusion rules of order. Luo Tianyi gave him an unfathomable feeling. Luo Tianyi is so powerful. The rankings on the King Sage board are not so accurate. They cannot be taken seriously. Luo Tianyi is too low-key. Although she is ranked 36th on the King Sage board, her strength is enough to be in the top 20. Many people were shocked by Luo Tianyi's strength. Chapter 1884. Even if they were all king bodies, and their cultivation levels were the same, there were differences in strength. The strength of one's combat awareness, the strength of one's divine power, and the use of laws all determined one's combat strength. Moreover, even if they were all King Dao laws, there were differences in strength. Some King Dao laws were extremely powerful, exceeding other King Dao laws. For example, Luo Tianyi's Heaven Illusion Law could make people fall into a boundless illusion. There was also Luo Zhangqiong's Deprivation Law, which was rumored to be able to deprive everything and was even more overbearing. "Luo Pokong, let's go!" Kong Lang roared and dared not continue fighting. His figure flashed into the distance. Luo Pokong revealed a look of indignation. With a move of his body, he also fled into the distance. Lu Ming did not pursue. Although he was stronger than Luo Pokong, there was a limit. If Luo Pokong wanted to leave, with his terrifying speed of penetrating laws, he could not stop him. "Retreat!" Seeing Luo Pokong and Kong Lang retreat, Feng Wuchen did not dare to continue fighting. With a roar, he transformed into a gust of wind and fled into the distance, disappearing in an instant. The others also abandoned their opponents and fled frantically. "Damn, this kid escaped quickly. Next time, I will definitely destroy him." Huang Li cursed and was extremely unhappy. He was an invincible existence among the younger generation of the desolate race. This was the first time he had been beaten so badly in a battle with someone of the same generation. "Luo Tianyi, thank you." Lu Ming walked towards Luo Tianyi and smiled. "You don't have to thank me." Luo Tianyi smiled and said, "I was in seclusion. When I came out, I heard that there was a battle here, so I came to take a look. I didn't expect to see you. Unfortunately, I was too late." "You're not late, you're just in time." Lu Ming laughed. That Lu Ming is also familiar with Luo Tianyi? It's amazing to have so many experts gathered together. Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming was also familiar with Luo Tianyi. With Luo Tianyi, there were too many geniuses on Lu Ming's side. There were already 5 king bodies. In addition to Lu Ming's own chaotic body, this force was too amazing. And there are so many beauties. It's enviable. Someone sighed, and this immediately received the approval of many others. Luo Tianyi, Qiu Autumn Moon, and Huang Ling were all stunning beauties. Any one of them was one of the top beauties in the Yuanshan Academy. However, the three of them were all familiar with Lu Ming. How could they not be envious? This brat is really fickle in love. I wonder how my sister is doing? With her arrogant temper, would she be able to endure it? I'm looking forward to it. Xian Yanjuan chuckled. Many people looked at Xian Yanjuan. Could it be that this proud daughter of the ancient Saint clan was also acquainted with Lu Ming? The battle is over. Let's go, Xian Yanjuan said and turned to leave. The prodigies of the ancient holy clans followed behind Xian Yanjuan as if she was their leader. After that, some people also turned around and left. Huang Ling, Desolate Force, both of you are injured. Heal yourselves first. Lu Ming looked at Huang Ling and the others. But Huang Ling, Desolate Force, Long Qin, Qiu Autumn Moon, and some other injured people sat cross-legged in the air, swallowed pills, and began to heal themselves. Not long after, Huang Ling was the first to finish healing. She had the immortal heavenly phoenix body. Her vitality was extremely strong, and she was known to be immortal. No matter how serious her injuries were, she could heal quickly. Then, Long Chen and Qiu Autumn Moon also finished healing their injuries. Their injuries were not very serious. Only Desolate Force was injured. He had taken on Desolate Force head-on earlier, and his body had been pierced several times. At this moment, his muscles wriggled, and the few holes were filled again. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful aura burst out from Desolate Force's body. This is the aura of an absolute saint. Lu Ming's eyes widened, and then he revealed a look of joy. After the battle, Desolate Force had broken through to the absolute saint realm. However, this was to be expected. Huang Li's cultivation had long reached great sage consummation, making him the closest to becoming a paragon sage among all of them. Furthermore, after the recent period of cultivation and the recent battle, his potential had been stimulated, resulting in him making a breakthrough. Ha! Desolate Force has broken through to the absolute saint realm. That's great! The other members of the Desolate race were also overjoyed. As for Huang Ling, Long Qin, and the others, they were also delighted. With Desolate Force's breakthrough, their strength would be stronger in the future. It would not be easy for Feng Wuchen to deal with them. Desolate Force could still fight Feng Wuchen after breaking through to the absolute saint realm. Some people were watching from afar. The elites who had not left were also shocked. Desolate Force had broken through to the absolute saint realm. A king body absolute saint was definitely powerful. In addition to Lu Ming's terrifying combat strength, Lu Ming and his group would become a force to be reckoned with in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Courtyard. During this period of time, many people in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Courtyard are breaking through. After a period of time, the Yuan Mountain Sacred Courtyard will probably have an even more exciting clash. That's right. Actually, there are many people with king bodies who have yet to break through to the absolute saint realm. When these people break through to the absolute saint realm, the clash will be even more intense. That will be a truly great era. There are also the strongest group of people who have been cultivating in the absolute saint battlefield. When they come out of seclusion, they will probably be even stronger. We have to work hard too. Otherwise, we will probably become the stepping stones of others in this great era. Some of the elites discussed. They felt pressured, but they were also filled with anticipation. Everyone wanted to create a dazzling spark in this great era that would be remembered by everyone. Between the heavens and earth, endless heaven and earth, Yuan Qi gathered towards the power of desolates. Give him a hand. Lu Ming waved his hand and a large number of origin stones exploded, turning into billowing origin qi that surged towards Desolate Force. Long Chen and the others also took out a large number of origin stones and exploded them. Endless origin qi was absorbed by Desolate Force. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. The billowing absolute Saint Qi rushed into the sky like smoke signals. After a few hours, Desolate Force's aura was retracted and he opened his eyes. Long Chen, you have to cultivate quickly. Otherwise, I will have no opponent. Desolate Force laughed and then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, when are you going to fight with me? I'm not free. Lu Ming refused directly. Being entangled by this battle maniac would not be a good day. Desolate force helplessly touched his head, which made many people laugh. Let's go back. Luo Tianyi, do you want to join us? Lu Ming looked at Luo Tianyi. Sure. Luo Tianyi nodded and smiled. She was so charming that some of the young men from the Divine Elephant Sect, Phoenix Palace, and the Desolate Race were mesmerized. Other than Huang Ling and Long Chen, the others were very curious. Luo Tianyi, the sacred lady of inheritance of the Jade Lake Immortal Palace, a peerless beauty, was helping Lu Ming. Furthermore, she seemed to be very familiar with Lu Ming. She even listened to Lu Ming. This made many people's imagination run wild. Qiu Yu blinked and looked at Lu Ming and Luo Tianyi. No one knew what she was thinking. Chapter 1885. Everyone, do you have any news about the Tai Sui Lotus? Or, could you help me keep an eye out for news about it? Lu Ming asked after they had chatted for a while. The Tai Sui Lotus was the only ingredient he needed to refine the soul recovery pill. However, such a spiritual item was extremely rare. It would be difficult for him to find it alone. If he could get everyone to help him, he would have a better chance. Tai Sui Lotus? Some of them looked confused. Apparently, they had never heard of it. As for the remaining people who had heard the story, they were all deep in thought. The Tai Sui Lotus is extremely rare. It is said that it is very spiritual. It will be difficult to find it in a short period of time. However, I know of a place that might have news about it. Luo Tianyi pondered for a moment. She seemed to have thought of something. Where is it? Lu Ming was delighted. Many geniuses had joined the Jade Lake Divine Palace for generations. It was normal for Luo Tianyi to know a lot of information that ordinary people did not. The Vientiane Tower. Luo Tianyi explained, the Vientiane Tower specializes in collecting all kinds of information. They collect all kinds of information from all over the Yuan continent. They have people all over the world. As long as you spend money, you can buy any kind of information. There's such a place? Where can I find the Vientiane Tower? Lu Ming was delighted. If that was the case, he might be able to get some information from the Vientiane Tower. There's a branch of the Vientiane Tower in the Celestial City. I'll give you the exact location. Luo Tianyi took out a jade token and engraved the map on it with her spiritual consciousness. Then she handed it to Lu Ming. The group chatted for a while and left. The next day, Lu Ming and Qiu Moon left the Yuanshan's sacred courtyard and headed to the Vientiane Tower. The Celestial City was vast and boundless. The Vientiane Tower was located in the north of the city. The two of them flew. Soon, they found a place that was bustling with noise and excitement. Many people were surrounding it as if they were watching a good show. Shall we go down and take a look? Qiu Yu blinked and revealed a curious look. All right, let's go. Lu Ming nodded. The two of them landed and discovered an ancient platform. The platform was surrounded by people of all ages, men, women, and children. On the ancient platform, a sword was stabbed into the ground. A middle-aged man was grabbing the sword hilt and using all his strength to pull it out, but the sword wouldn't budge at all. Uncle, what's going on? Lu Ming greeted an elder and inquired about the situation. Little brother, this is your first time in Celestial City, right? Let me tell you, this sword is the Celestial Emperor's sword. The old man said proudly. What? The sword of the Celestial Emperor. Is it true? Lu Ming was shocked. The sword on the platform was actually the sword of the Celestial Arch. How could it have been passed down until now? I don't know if it's true or not, but it is said that this platform was created by the Celestial Emperor, and this sword was also placed here by the Celestial Emperor. It is 9 feet long, but no one has been able to pull it out. The old man explained. No one can pull it out, not even a martial emperor? Lu Ming was even more curious. Qiu Moon also looked at the old man curiously. No, to pull this sword out, it has nothing to do with one's cultivation. Many martial emperors might not even be able to pull it out 1 foot, but those with low cultivation might be able to pull it out a little. There was once a young man who had just started cultivating and pulled it out 5 feet. The old man explained. Since ancient times, the record for pulling it out the most was 8 feet. Among the young people of this generation, there was one who pulled it out 8 feet. That was the descendant of the Celestial Emperor, the peerless genius with the bloodline of the Celestial Emperor, Xing Xinhe. Moreover, I heard that Xing Xinhe said that he would pull out the sword of the Celestial Emperor sooner or later and make it his sword. A middle-aged man interrupted from the side. Lu Ming roughly understood what was going on. At that moment, the burly man on the platform was almost exhausted. In the end, he could not even pull out one foot and retreated from the platform with a flushed face. People come here every day to try. Many of them were very confident at first, thinking that they could pull out the sword of the Celestial Emperor, but in the end, they were all disappointed. The old man shook his head and said, "It's just wishful thinking. How can the sword of the Celestial Emperor be pulled out so easily? Over the years, many geniuses have been born, but no one could pull it out. It's said that once you pull it out, you might get the inheritance of the Celestial Emperor." The middle-aged man sneered. "That's just a legend. Don't take it seriously." The old man shook his head. At that moment, another person stepped onto the platform and began to pull out the sword. Clang. Suddenly, the sword chimed and shook the sky. The hilt of the sword emitted a dazzling light. The sword was pulled out by a foot. However, 1 foot was the limit. No matter how hard the person tried, he could only pull it out 1 foot. After a while, the person failed and retreated from the platform. The sword sank back into the platform, leaving only the hilt exposed. "How wonderful!" Lu Ming exclaimed inwardly. Even a martial emperor could not pull out the sword, which showed how magical it was. A martial emperor could shatter heaven and earth when he was angry. He had infinite power, but he could not pull out the sword. If one wanted to pull out the sword, it had nothing to do with one's cultivation. It depended on the person. "This sword is mine." At that moment, a young man stepped onto the platform. His face was cold and arrogant, and he was full of confidence. How arrogant! Even the Eternal Star River could not pull out the sword. How dare this person say that it's his? Many people were very confident before they went up, but they soon failed. I've seen many people like this. Some people were talking about it with disdain. The young man snorted and stepped to the hilt of the sword. He held the hilt with both hands, exhaled, and pulled it up forcefully. Clang! The sword chimed and shook the sky. The sword of the Celestial Emperor was pulled out 1 foot. Again. The young man shouted and his power exploded. The sword chimed again, and rays of light flowed out of the sword. 3 feet, he actually pulled it out 3 feet. Someone exclaimed. In an instant, the young man pulled out another 2 feet, making a total of 3 feet. This person is very talented, but he can only pull it out 3 feet. 3 feet is his limit. Someone said. Again. At that moment, the young man shouted again, and a terrifying power of law erupted from his body. That's the power of kings. This person has a king body. Many people exclaimed. Clang, clang. The sword chimed twice, and the sword was pulled out another 2 feet, making it 5 feet. He's a lesser absolute saint. This person must be a peerless genius of the Origin Mountain's sacred court. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, he had never seen this person before. After the young man pulled the sword of the Celestial Emperor out 5 feet, he stopped as if he had reached his limit. The young man circulated his cultivation to the maximum, and his body was covered in endless light. Chapter 1886. After a short while, the young man shouted again. Clang! Another sword chime was heard, and the sword of the Celestial Emperor was pulled out by another foot, reaching 6 feet. This sword looks like a stone sword. Lu Ming looked carefully and found that the sword seemed to be made of stone, as if it was polished from a strange stone. 6 feet, this person is amazing. An ordinary king body can only pull out 5 feet, but this person can pull out 6 feet. Extraordinary! However, 6 feet is his limit. Since ancient times, it has been recorded that a normal king body can reach 5 feet. A few especially terrifying king bodies can reach 6 feet. As for the Son of Heaven, he can reach 7 feet. The highest record is 8 feet, but that is very rare even since ancient times. Indeed, many people were discussing. The young man had indeed reached his limit after pulling out 6 feet. After a few consecutive bursts, the sword did not move at all. In the end, the young man could only give up and retreat. The sword was once again submerged into the platform. Interesting. Autumn Moon, do you want to give it a try? Lu Ming asked. Let's give it a try. Qiuyu smiled. She was also eager to try what she saw just now. Ha, little girl, you want to try too? I bet you can pull out 3 feet. I have faith in you. The middle-aged man laughed. There were many young people who came here every day to draw their swords, but how many of them could pull out 3 feet? The middle-aged man was just joking. Autumn Moon smiled and did not say anything. She stepped onto the platform and grabbed the sword hilt. Rise! Autumn Moon shouted, and her saint power surged as she pulled up with all her might. Clang, clang, clang. 3 consecutive sword chimes were heard, and the sword of the Celestial Emperor was pulled out 3 feet. The middle-aged man was stunned and tongue-tied. You really pulled it out 3 feet? He had just said it casually. He never expected that the little girl could pull it out 3 feet. Uncle, it's not over yet. Lu Ming laughed. Rise. At this time, Autumn Moon shouted again, and the law of yin and yang spread out. Clang, clang, clang. The sword chimes continued to ring, and 3 more chimes were heard. 6 feet. King body, another king body, and an extremely terrifying one at that. Another prodigy has appeared. This woman should be a prodigy from Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard. The mid-autumn moon was pulled out by 6 feet, which caused a heated discussion. In the past, there were very few people who could pull out 6 feet. On average, it would take many years for one to appear. Today, in such a short period of time, 2 people appeared consecutively. This was very rare. Of course, when the Origin Mountain Sacred Academy was first opened, it was the most lively. In a single day, more than 10 heavenly geniuses who could pull out 5 feet and 6 feet appeared, shaking the entire celestial city. However, Autumn Moon had reached her limit after pulling out 6 feet. After a few fruitless attempts, she gave up and returned to Lu Ming's side. Do you want to try? Autumn Moon looked at Lu Ming curiously. Lu Ming was a son of chaos. She wanted to see how many feet Lu Ming could pull out. On the side, the middle-aged uncle and the old man looked at Lu Ming curiously. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon walked together. Could it be that he was also a king body? Could it be that he was also in existence who could pull out 5 feet or even 6 feet? If so, today would be lively. Okay, I'll give it a try. Lu Ming smiled. Since he was here, he might as well give it a try. Lu Ming stepped onto the platform. Many people looked at Lu Ming. There are really a lot of young people who came today. Indeed, I wonder how many feet this person can pull out? To be able to come up after 2 king bodies, I'm afraid he's not simple. Today is really lively. Some people looked at Lu Ming curiously and looked forward to it. Could it be that Lu Ming could also pull out 6 feet? Lu Ming came to the side of the sword hilt and held the sword with both hands. Suddenly, he felt a wonderful warm force gushing out from the sword hilt and pouring into Lu Ming's body. Is this energy able to test a person's cultivation? Lu Ming secretly guessed. Because the people who came here to pull out the sword had nothing to do with their cultivation level. A martial emperor might not even be able to pull out 1 foot, but a person who had just started cultivating could pull out 5 feet. Then let's see how many feet I can pull out. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed as he pulled hard. Clang. The sound of the sword rang out, and the long sword was pulled out 1 foot. It's really heavy, Lu Ming muttered. The saint force in his body surged, and the 2 saint hearts rotated rapidly. Endless power poured into Lu Ming's hands, and he pulled up again. Clang, 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 clang. 4 consecutive sword cries rang out. The sword's body was overflowing with brilliant colors, and it was dazzling. 5 feet. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had pulled out 5 feet. He hasn't used the precepts yet. Someone exclaimed in disbelief. He can pull out 5 feet without using the precepts. How is that possible? Are we seeing things? Everyone was in disbelief. Without using the precepts, he could pull out 5 feet. This was too shocking. The person with the king body looked at Lu Ming, and a bright light burst out of his eyes. It's really heavy, but this is not my limit. Rise. Lu Ming still did not use the precepts. He relied on the saint force and the power of his spirit body. Clang. Another sword cry rang out. 6 feet. Lu Ming still did not use the precepts. The whole place was silent, and everyone stared at Lu Ming. Without using the precepts, he could pull out 6 feet. This was too shocking. Unbelievable. I wonder what level of precepts this person has. If it's a powerful king precepts, he might be able to pull out another foot and be on par with the Elysian child. Someone spoke and his voice was a little muffled. The middle-aged man and the old man who had been chatting with Lu Ming were also tongue-tied. The gentle young man who had been chatting with them was actually so powerful? To be able to pull out 6 feet without using the precepts, it seemed that only the Stellar River had done so before. Didn't that mean that Lu Ming had already tied the Stellar River's record? Again, Lu Ming's eyes revealed a look of determination. He felt that he had not reached his limit yet. In his spirit body, he had refined a strand of chaos chi. The strength of his spirit body far exceeded that of a superior sky spirit body. Most importantly, he had 2 saint hearts with unlimited potential. Rise for me, Lu Ming shouted. Other than the precepts, all the power poured into his arms and erupted in an instant. Clang. Another sword cry resounded through the sky, and a sword chi rushed into the sky. 7 feet. Lu Ming pulled out 7 feet, but he still did not use the precepts. How is this possible? How is this possible? Without using the precepts, he can pull out 7 feet. This has never been seen before. When the Stellar River did not use the precepts, he could only pull out 6 feet. Doesn't that mean that Lu Ming has surpassed the Stellar River's record? Some people say that the reason why the Stellar River can pull out 6 feet without using the precepts is because he is a descendant of the Celestial Emperor. Otherwise, it would not be possible. How can this person do it? Chapter 1887. One had to know that an ordinary Elysian child could only pull out 7 feet. However, Lu Ming could pull out 7 feet without using any nomological laws. This was incredible. Could it be that he has secretly used laws, but we didn't notice? Someone couldn't help but guess. It's possible, very possible. This guess was agreed by most people. Otherwise, it would be too shocking. But in the next moment, everyone shut up. Rise. A voice sounded in everyone's ears, and the law of chaos erupted from Lu Ming's body. Clang. Immediately, another sword chime sounded. At this moment, the long sword whistled, and a shocking sword chi rushed into the sky and disappeared into the boundless starry sky. The entire platform was shining, and the endless radiance almost drowned Lu Ming. The scene fell into a dead silence. 8 feet. Lu Ming pulled out 8 feet and even used laws. This proved that Lu Ming really did not use laws just now and pulled out 7 feet. At this moment he used laws and pulled out the 8-foot-long sword in one fell swoop, tying with the historical record and also the Stellar River's record. The law of chaos. This person is one of the sons of heaven, the son of chaos. It's too shocking, pulling out 8 feet, tying the Stellar River's record. Can this person completely pull out the sword of the Celestial the Arch? As soon as these words came out, the entire place fell silent again, and it became so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. Lu Ming could pull out 7 feet without using the power of laws, which was unprecedented since ancient times. Then, after Lu Ming used laws, could he pull out 9 feet? That was really hard to say. Could it be that the sword of the Celestial the Arch that had been inserted here for countless years was about to appear? Many people trembled in their hearts, both nervous and expectant. The uncle and uncle who were chatting with Lu Ming before were completely stunned. They never expected that the young man who was chatting with them just now was a rare peerless genius since ancient times. 8 feet, still 1 foot short. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes were extremely bright. At this moment, he gathered all the strength in his body into his arms. The muscles all over his body bulged one by one, filled with endless strength. Then he pulled out the sword. Clang. A sword cry resounded through the sky, causing everyone's hearts to beat violently. At this moment, the boundless sword light pierced through the heavens. A shocking sword light stood between the heavens and earth. Everyone in Celestial City could see it. On the platform, amidst the boundless radiance, a young man raised his sword high, resembling the legendary god of war. Lu Ming pulled out the sword of the Celestial Emperor and held it in his hand. At this moment, time seemed to have frozen, and space seemed to have frozen as well. Everything stopped at this moment, as though it was an eternity. In the center of Celestial City, there was an incomparably majestic palace. At this moment, numerous silhouettes rushed out from the palace, emitting powerful and terrifying auras. The sword of the Celestial Emperor has appeared. In this world, other than Xinghe, there is actually someone who can pull out the Celestial Emperor's sword? Let's go. The sword of the Celestial Emperor cannot fall into the hands of outsiders. We must take it back. Voices rang out one after another. Then they stepped into the air and left. On the platform where the sword of the Celestial Emperor was located, Lu Ming could not help but feel uncomfortable, as if a crisis was about to befall him. With a thought, Lu Ming kept the sword of the Celestial Emperor into the mountain and river diagram. Then, he flew down and pulled Autumn Moon and said, "Let's go." The two of them turned into two rays of light and left the place in an instant. It was not until Lu Ming and Autumn Moon disappeared that the crowd woke up from their daze and reacted. The sword of the Celestial Emperor has been pulled out. The sword of the Celestial Emperor that has been here for thousands of years has actually been pulled out. Who is that young man? He controls the law of primal chaos. He should be a genius of Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard. It's not difficult to find out. Many people discussed excitedly. Swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, several silhouettes suddenly appeared in the sky. Each of them emitted a terrifying aura, causing everyone to tremble. Emperor's aura. It's a martial emperor expert. And it's the martial emperors of the Heng family. The Heng family claims to have the bloodline of the Celestial Emperor. Now that the sword of the Celestial Emperor has been pulled out, the Heng family will definitely make a move. Heng Xinghe has already said that the sword of the Celestial Emperor will be pulled out by him sooner or later and will become his sword. Many people discussed in low voices. The emperor-level powerhouse of the Heng family swept his gaze across the empty platform. His eyes were extremely shocked. At the same time, a gloomy expression flashed across his face. The sword of the Celestial Emperor was really pulled out. Who is it? Who pulled out the sword of the Celestial Emperor? A powerful martial emperor of the Heng family swept his gaze across the audience. His powerful martial emperor aura made everyone's breathing difficult. I don't know. It's a young man, but he has already left. Someone replied. A young man? Who is it? Which force is he from? The emperor-level powerhouse of the Heng family asked. I don't know, but he is the son of primal chaos and controls the law of primal chaos. He should be from Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard. Someone said. Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard. The face of the Heng family's emperor-level powerhouse turned gloomy. If it was a genius of Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard, then it would be difficult to deal with. Although the Heng family was extremely powerful and claimed to be the descendant of the Celestial Emperor, their foundation was deep and their strength was unfathomable. They were one of the strongest forces in Celestial City. However, Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard was jointly established by three great emperors. They did not dare to directly go to Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard to ask for the person. That person should not have gone far. Chase, it's best to take him down before he returns to Yuan Mountain's sacred courtyard. The sword of the Celestial Emperor can only belong to our Heng family. The leader of the Heng family's martial emperors spoke. The other martial emperors moved one after another and flew in all directions. At this moment, Lu Ming had changed his appearance. He pulled out the sword of the Celestial Emperor and inexplicably felt a sense of crisis in his heart. Moreover, the appearance of the sword of the Celestial Emperor would definitely alarm many powerful forces. Therefore, he made a prompt decision and immediately left with Autumn Moon. He found a secret place and sent Autumn Moon into the mountain river diagram. After that, he used divine breath technique and turned into a middle-aged man with sallow skin. With his current cultivation, even martial emperors would not be able to recognize him so easily. He swaggered down the street and headed in the direction of Vientiane Tower. Not long after, there was indeed a terrifying expert whistling through the sky. Terrifying emperor's aura spread in all directions, causing many people to feel apprehensive. Sure enough, they are chasing after me. Which force is this expert from? Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and guessed in his heart. However, his figure did not stop as he headed towards Vientiane Tower. Those martial emperors scanned with their spiritual sense, but they could not recognize him at all. The other party had not even seen his face. Moreover, he used divine breath technique. How could they discover him? Not long after, Lu Ming arrived in front of a pavilion in the north of Celestial City. This is Vientiane Tower. Lu Ming walked in and immediately an old man came to receive Lu Ming. Dear guest, may I ask what help you need? The old man asked. I need to inquire about a piece of information. Chapter 1888. Head to the hall on the left. The old man said with a smile. Lu Ming nodded and walked toward the hall on the left. In the hall on the left, a beautiful lady received Lu Ming. Sir, what kind of information are you looking for? For example, information about people, cultivation techniques and martial skills, or even information about saint herbs and materials. The young lady wore a gentle smile on her face, giving off a comfortable feeling. A kind of sacred herb, Lu Ming said. If you're looking for a sacred herb, please head to the 6th room. I'll show you the way. The young lady smiled and walked gracefully, leading Lu Ming to a room at the side of the hall. Lu Ming sighed. The Vientiane Tower had a clear division of labor. Different rooms would be assigned to different information. This way, the efficiency would be better. After entering the 6th room, Lu Ming saw an elegant middle-aged man. Sir, what kind of sacred herb would you like to know? The middle-aged man asked. The Tai Sui treasure lotus. I want to know where I can find the Tai Sui treasure lotus, or where I can find it. Lu Ming said. The Tai Sui treasure lotus is an extremely rare sacred herb with a unique medicinal effect. Not many of them have appeared since the ancient times. The middle-aged man exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart sank as he said, even the Vientiane Tower doesn't have any information about the Tai Sui treasure lotus? I can only say that you're in luck. If you came a few days earlier, your trip would have been in vain. However, I just received a piece of information about the Tai Sui treasure lotus yesterday. Someone has seen the Tai Sui treasure lotus somewhere. The middle-aged man burst out laughing. Where is it? Lu Ming was overjoyed. Brother, don't worry. The Tai Sui treasure lotus is too rare. The Vientiane Tower had to pay a huge price to obtain this information. You'll have to pay the price if you want to know about it. The middle-aged man said with a smile. How many origin stones? Lu Ming asked. He knew that he would need origin stones to obtain the information. Information about something as rare as the Tai Sui treasured lotus is naturally valuable. 500,000 high-grade origin stones for this piece of information. The middle-aged man said. The corner of Lu Ming's lips twitched slightly. 500,000 high-grade origin stones for a piece of information? How expensive! Of course, the Vientiane Tower's members were spread all over the world. It's priced to nurture so many people. All right, I'll take the information about the Tai Sui treasure lotus. Lu Ming took out a storage ring and filled it with 500,000 high-grade raw stones. He passed it to the elegant middle-aged man. But the Tai Sui treasure lotus is extremely spiritual consciousness. Not long after, he returned to the Yuanshan Academy. Then he sent a message to Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others, saying that he would be leaving for a while. He planned to go to the Tai Sword Tomb immediately to find the Tai Sui treasure lotus so that Autumn Moon could recover her memories. For things like memories, the longer it was delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for Qiuyu, and the harder it would be for her to recover. Lu Ming didn't have to worry about the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain. Huang Li had broken through to the Absolute Saint Realm and his strength had increased greatly. Luo Tianyi was also with them. Lu Ming didn't waste any time and walked to the teleportation formation of the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain. Of course, he couldn't teleport directly to the Tai Sword Tomb. Instead, he teleported to the public teleportation area near the Tai Sword Tomb. In fact, every Emperor-level force would build a teleportation formation. But almost all of them were one-way. People from the outside couldn't teleport in. If people from the outside could teleport into a force, that force would be in danger. If they were an enemy, it would be even more dangerous. Only forces that had a good relationship with each other would have a two-way teleportation formation. Therefore, in many areas, there would be public teleportation areas. For example, outside the ancient moon sacred ground, outside the ancient sun sacred ground, and the 8 citadels around the celestial city were all public teleportation areas. If outsiders wanted to enter these places, they could only teleport to the public teleportation area and then fly there. Therefore, if they wanted to go to a certain place, they could only teleport to the nearest public teleportation area and then fly there. After all, the primordial mountain was too big. It was unrealistic to rely on flying. Even an ordinary Emperor-level expert would need a long time to cross the entire primordial mountain. Lu Ming stepped into the teleportation formation and teleported to the public teleportation area closest to the Tai Sword Tomb. Then, he took out the flying shuttle and flew toward the Tai Sword Tomb. Lu Ming had obtained this sky-piercing flying shuttle after killing his enemies. It was 20 times faster than the sky-piercing flying shuttle that Valley Master Yunkong had. In the flying shuttle, Lu Ming returned to his original appearance and released Autumn Moon from the mountain river diagram. What's so magical about the Heavenly Emperor's sword? Show me. Autumn Moon came out and looked at Lu Ming curiously. Was this person really her young master? His talent was also amazing. He could barely be her young master. Autumn Moon had a strange thought in her mind. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, the Heavenly Emperor's sword appeared in his hand. The Heavenly Emperor's sword really looked like a stone sword. It was polished from a strange stone. Moreover, at this time, there was no abnormality at all. It was as if it was really an ordinary stone sword. There was no shocking phenomenon like when it was first pulled out. This is really the Heavenly Emperor's sword. It looks very ordinary. Could the legend be wrong? Autumn Moon looked at the stone sword curiously, then took it and looked at it carefully. Finally, she injected her saint power, but the stone sword did not react at all. Lu Ming took it and also injected his saint power. He even channeled the law of primal chaos, but there was no reaction at all. There's no reaction at all. It's become a useless sword. Lu Ming was speechless. Then the two of them studied it again, but there was still no result. Lu Ming had to put it in the mountain river diagram. He would study it later. The distance to the Tai Sword Tomb was not short. Even with the flying shuttle that was 20 times the speed, it would still take half a month. The two of them began to cultivate in the flying shuttle. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. They came to a wild mountain range, surrounded by vast mountains. In the mountains, the roars of beasts were incessant. Lu Ming put away the flying shuttle. The two of them walked on air. After more than 100,000 miles, they found that the area was getting quieter and quieter. There were fewer and fewer living creatures. Finally, they saw a huge cave. It was like a huge demonic well that led underground. In the cave, there was a constant aura of death. That was why there was a dead silence around the cave. Chapter 1889. The Tai Sword Tomb was the place where swords were buried. It was said that in the distant past, an extremely powerful sword cultivator had fallen in the Tai Sword Tomb. This place became his tomb, attracting the worship of tens of thousands of swords. Countless ownerless swords flew here and were buried together with that terrifying cultivator. Later on, countless powerful sword cultivators coveted the sword cultivator's inheritance. In order to obtain the sword cultivator's inheritance, a fierce battle broke out there. Countless powerful sword cultivators had died in battle here and were buried here. This place became a terrifying sword tomb. Later on, many sword cultivators who had reached the end of their lifespan and were about to die would come here and be buried there. Over time, the number of experts and swords buried here was innumerable. It was impossible to tell how many of them had been buried here. Over time, Some wonderful treasures were born in the Tai sword tomb. For example, the sword origin was a rare treasure. Refining the sword origin could refine one's true origin and saint force to improve one's cultivation. Some people would also come here to look for spiritual swords. Since ancient times, many sword cultivators had been buried here. It was said that there were even many emperor-level sword cultivators. Some of the swords left behind by them were real treasures. If one was lucky enough to get it, he would be rich. Therefore, the Tai sword tomb attracted many people to explore. Many people would come here every year, especially sword cultivators. The Tai Sui treasured lotus had been found by explorers here. Lu Ming scanned the area. True enough, he saw some figures near the cave. You too, a gentle-looking old man flew over and looked at Lu Ming and Xiao Moon. He smiled and said, "You two also want to explore the sword tomb, right?" "That's right." Lu Ming nodded. "It just so happens that I'm forming a team with some friends to enter the sword tomb together. After all, there are opportunities and dangers in the sword tomb. There's strength in numbers and we can help each other. Young friends, are you willing to join us?" The old man smiled and said, "Team up?" Lu Ming thought to himself. The Tai sword tomb was full of opportunities and dangers. Since ancient times, many sword cultivators had been buried here and some dangerous things had been born. They were the sword aura. The sword baleful beasts would kill any living being they encountered. They had no intelligence at all. There were strong sword emanations and weak sword emanations. Some sword emanations were extremely powerful, and it would be very dangerous for a single person to encounter them. Thus, it was normal for many people to form teams and enter the sword emanations. "Senior, the two of us are here to search for a type of sacred medicine," Lu Ming said. That's great. The Tai sword tomb is extremely vast. Just relying on the two of you is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Come with us and keep an eye on each other. You'll have a better chance," the old man said with a smile. "All right, I agree." Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then nodded. The old man's words made sense. It was indeed difficult for the two of them to search for Zhang Xian. If they teamed up with more people, their chances of success would be higher. Moreover, some of these people might have been active here for a long time. They might be able to obtain some useful information. "All right, come, let me introduce you to the others." The old man smiled and led Lu Ming and Autumn Moon towards the others. There were 8 people at the entrance of the cave. The old man introduced them. After the old man's introduction, Lu Ming learned that the old man's name was Wuxia. He was a perfected paragon saint. Among these people, his cultivation was the highest. "Young friends will have to wait a little longer. We'll go in when there are more people," Wuxia said. He had a gentle smile on his face, which made him seem easy to get along with. "It's fine to wait a little longer." Lu Ming nodded. Finding the Tai Sui treasured lotus wasn't something that could be done in a day. It wouldn't hurt to wait a few more days. There were indeed many people who came to explore the Tai sword tomb. Every 2 days, there would be people who came, and Wu Chu pulled them into the group. More than 10 days later, there were more than 20 people in the group. "All right, it's about time. Let's go," Wu Chu said. Then, he took the lead and flew into the cave, followed by the others. The cave was huge and it led underground. It was unfathomable. Lu Ming and the others flew down for about 10,000 feet before they finally reached the bottom. It really looks like an underground world. Lu Ming looked around and found that there was a world under the cave. He couldn't see the end of it. There were mountain peaks in this place, but it was deathly still. There was nothing here. There were only swords. Rusty swords were either stuck in the ground or on the mountain peaks. However, they had lost their spirituality and were about to corrode after countless years. "Let's set up a formation so that we won't panic when we're attacked," Wuxia said. Then he arranged the formation. Lu Ming and Xiao Moon were arranged to be at the back. Some of them were in the middle, while others were in the front and left. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He found that those who were arranged to be in the front, back, left, and right were the people who joined the group later. Wu Chu was in the middle with 5 or 6 people. According to him, his cultivation was the highest. He would be in the middle to provide support at any time. The others didn't have any objections. They chose a direction and ran forward. The Tai sword tomb gave people the impression of being dead silent. There was silence between heaven and earth. Occasionally, there would be gusts of cold wind blowing. Not a single blade of grass grew. It was incomparably desolate. They ran forward for hundreds of miles. The scenery they saw was similar. This was the outer area. The swords they encountered were all corroded. There wouldn't be much to gain in this area. After walking for an unknown distance, two figures suddenly appeared in front of them. They were two black figures. Their appearances couldn't be seen clearly. They looked like ghosts. When the two black figures saw Lu Ming and the others, their eyes emitted a sharp aura. They turned into two beams of sword light and charged at the group. They are two sword emanations. However, their strength is only at the bright sage realm. Wuxia said. With a wave of his hand, two beams of energy shot out and defeated the two sword emanations. After the two sword emanations were defeated, they turned into two beams of energy and sank into the ground, disappearing. It was said that these sword emanations were very difficult to kill. They could only be defeated temporarily. After being defeated, they would escape into the ground. After a period of time, they would reappear. The group continued forward. They encountered a few more sword emanations, but they were not strong and were easily defeated. Suddenly, a weak sword intent came from the front. There's a sword source in front. Wu Chu's eyes lit up. It was obvious that this was not Wu Chu's first time entering the Tai sword tomb. He was very experienced. Based on a weak sword intent, he could determine that there was a sword source in front. The group restrained their auras and moved forward carefully. After circling around a mountain, they saw dozens of sword emanations. Chapter 1890. Among the dozens of sword emanations, there were 3 battle swords. These 3 battle swords were not real and were not real battle swords. Instead, they were condensed from extremely pure sword qi and were inserted into the ground. These were the sword sources. Dozens of sword emanations surrounded the 3 sword sources. The sword emanations could absorb the energy from the sword sources to strengthen themselves. Therefore, there were sword emanations guarding each sword source. Since there were 3 sword sources here, there were naturally more sword emanations guarding them. 3 sword sources. Wu Chu's gentle eyes emitted a blazing light. What should we do? Someone asked. We can't fight head-on. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if we alert the other sword emanations. The best way is to attract the sword emanations and use our powerful combat strength to instantly seize the 3 sword emanations. Wu Chu's eyes emitted a scheming light as he made arrangements. You guys, split up and lure the sword emanations away. The few of us with the strongest cultivation will instantly seize the 3 sword sources. Wu Chu pointed at Lu Ming, Qiu Moon, and a few others who joined the team later. We're going to lure them? Someone asked. That's right. In this sword tomb, we can only maximize our strength and obtain more resources by cooperating with each other. Don't worry, after we obtain the sword sources, we will split them equally. You guys won't get anything less. Wu Chu said. All right, let's lure them. That person nodded, and the others had no objections. Lu Ming and the rest slowly approached the sword emanations from different directions. When they were a certain distance away, the sword emanations discovered them, and a sharp light shot out from their eyes. Whoosh, whoosh. Then, the sword emanations turned into streaks of sword radiance and chased after Lu Ming and the rest. Let's go! Lu Ming pulled Qiu Moon and turned to run. The others did the same. They all turned and ran into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Beside the sword sources, there were only 7 or 8 sword emanations left. It's good to find some bait. It can save a lot of effort. Beside Wu Chu, a middle-aged man sneered. He looked in the direction Lu Ming and the rest had left with a mocking smile on his face. There's no time. Let's attack and seize the 3 sword sources. Wu Chu took a step forward and charged toward the 7 or 8 sword emanations. His cultivation was at the peak of the absolute saint realm. With a single palm strike, 2 sword emanations were destroyed and turned into energy that sank into the ground. The other people beside Wu Chu also attacked. They released their auras. They were all absolute saints. Everyone attacked together. The 7 or 8 sword emanations did not last long before they were all killed. Chiao Chiao Moon. Chiao Chiao Moon. Chiao Chiao Chiao. Chiao Chiao. Chiao Chiao Chiao. Chiao Chiao. Chiao Yu. Chiao Chiao Chiao. Chiao Chiao. Lu Ming's heart stirred and there was a cold glint in his eyes. Chiao Chiao. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Chiao Yu. Chiao Chiao. Chiao Moon stopped abruptly. He waved his hand. 2 scimitars flew out. They spun quickly and swept toward the sword emanations. One of the sword fiends was equivalent to a lesser saint, while the others were all great saints. They weren't Chiao Yu's match at all. 2 scimitars swept past, and the sword fiends crumbled, turning into energy and dissipating. It was the screams of the other people who had attracted the sword emanations. Lu Ming's eyes grew colder. He and Chiao Chiao. Chiao Moon. Wu Chu and the rest had already gotten the 3 sword sources. They were retreating. They were surprised to see Lu Ming and Chiao Chiao. Looks like they're both geniuses. Even the sword emanations of absolute saints can't do anything to them. Wu Chu's eyes flashed. He smiled gently and said, Lu Ming, return to the team. We'll retreat first. Lu Ming nodded. Tianzhou. Chiao Moon returned to the team quietly and retreated. Not long after, an ear-piercing roar came from the place where they had obtained the sword sources. It was obvious that the sword emanations had returned and realized that the sword sources were gone. Not long after, a few people who had attracted the sword emanations returned to the team. These people's cultivation was not weak. They didn't die at the hands of the sword emanations. Wu Chu, where are the sword sources? You said we'd split them equally. Someone looked at Wu Chu. Don't worry. We've only gotten 3 sword sources. I'll keep them for now. When we get more sword sources in the future, I'll split them equally. Wu Chu laughed. That person snorted and didn't say anything. There was a cold smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. There was a sharp glint in Chiao Yu's eyes, but the 2 of them did not say much. They continued forward. Not long after, Wu Chu sensed something again. There's another sword source in front. Wu Chu was overjoyed. The group moved forward and found a sword origin in a valley. The number of sword emanations guarding a single sword origin was relatively low. There were only about 3. Let's attack together and destroy these sword emanations. Wu Chu said. There were only about 10 sword emanations. There was no need to lure them away. Lu Ming and the rest were strong. They might be useful if they were kept alive. Wu Chu's lips curled into a sneer. In the next moment, his expression suddenly changed. On the other side, more than a dozen figures flashed and appeared there. They were all martial Dao experts. Obviously, they had entered the sword tomb before. There were many people in the sword tomb. Every few days, people would enter the sword tomb. No one knew how many people there were in the sword tomb. It was obvious that the other party was also an adventurer. The other party also saw Lu Ming and the rest. Their gazes were unfriendly. Some of them even revealed murderous intent. Wu Chu and the rest's faces darkened. Get lost. That sword source belongs to us. Someone in the other party said coldly. You're the ones getting lost. Wu Chu sneered. How could he let go of the sword source that was right in front of him? He turned and looked at Lu Ming and the rest. You guys go and stop them. We'll go and get the sword source. Wu Chu sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming, Chiao Chiao Moon, and a few others. These people were the ones who had gone to attract the sword emanations. They were also the ones they had found as bait. I knew it. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. You want us to stop them? What a joke. There are many experts among them. If we go, we'll be courting death. I refuse. A short and stout man shook his head and refused directly. There was no lack of experts in the sword tomb. Among the dozen or so people, at least half of them were absolute saints. There might even be absolute saints at the peak of the absolute saint realm like Wuxia. Asking them to stop them would be suicide. Chapter 1891. Wuxia glanced at Lu Ming and the others with sharp eyes. He said that as long as Lu Ming and the others could hold on for a while, he would help them when they got the sword origin. We asked you to do something, but you're so wishy-washy. We asked you to follow us and block the danger for you. Do you think you can just eat and drink for free? You have to do something valuable. A burly man beside Wuxia said to them with a gloomy face. Lu Ming sneered. Wuxia and the others were blocking the danger for them? What a joke. They were clearly using them as bait. If there was danger, they would let them go. It was the same now. They were asking them to block the danger while they went to get the sword origin. Who knew if they would run away after getting the sword origin? I'm not going. If you want to fight, fight among yourselves. I'll leave the team. I'd rather take the risk alone in the sword tomb. A burly man shook his head and refused. Then he wanted to leave. But at this moment, Wuxia suddenly moved. He attacked violently and clawed at the brawny man. The burly man did not expect Wuxia to attack him. He was a lesser absolute saint, but he could not use his full strength. Wuxia was a perfected absolute saint. The difference between them was too great. He could not fight back at all. Wuxia's claw cracked the burly man's head. The burly man roared. His eyes were filled with anger and indignation. Die! Wuxia's power surged out. The burly man's head exploded like a watermelon. His soul was instantly destroyed. It's too late to leave now. Go and stop them. Otherwise you'll die. Wuxia said coldly to Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and Qiu Moon's eyes were gloomy. The others were pale. The dozen people opposite them looked at them in surprise. We haven't even started the battle and there's already an internal conflict. One of them sneered. No matter what tricks they're playing, get ready to attack. We have to get the sword origin. These people have to die too. The person with the strongest aura said coldly. Not only did they want the sword origin, but they also wanted to kill Lu Ming and the others. How could finding the sword origin be faster than killing people? On Lu Ming's side. All right, let's attack. Lu Ming nodded in agreement. The others could only nod helplessly. When I tell you to start, you guys attack immediately and catch them off guard. Wuxia transmitted his voice, and then suddenly roared, Kill! Bush, bush. The figures of Lu Ming and the others flashed as they charged towards the other party. However, before he could get very far, Lu Ming's palm chopped down like a saber. A stream of energy as large as a mountain shot towards him. You're courting death. Kill them all. The leader of the other side let out a furious roar. More than 10 people erupted and charged towards Lu Ming's group. Retreat! Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. Together with Qiu, he suddenly turned around and rushed towards Wuxia and the others. The others were stunned for a moment before fleeing in other directions. How could they really throw their lives away? All of you are courting death. Seeing that Lu Ming and the others were actually running in the opposite direction and were rushing towards them, Chief Wu was immediately enraged. You're really treating us as bait. What a joke! Lu Ming sneered as he and Qiu charged towards Wuxia and the others. The other party also rushed towards Wuxia and the others. Little brat, I'll kill you first. A burly man of the Saint Realm launched a fierce attack towards Lu Ming. Scram! Lu Ming shouted coldly as he punched out. He directly crushed the opponent's attack and then collided with the opponent's palm. The opponent's hand bones were directly shattered. He frantically retreated with a look of disbelief. However, Lu Ming and Qiu did not continue to fight. They rushed past him and rushed into the distance. Following that, the other party had already rushed over. All sorts of attacks poured towards Wuxia and the others. The two sides immediately engaged in a chaotic battle. Damn it, little brat, I'll kill you sooner or later. Wuxia roared, his eyes filled with killing intent as he looked at Lu Ming and Qiu. Lu Ming was actually so daring. Not only did he want to escape, but he also wanted to lead the other party to them. He deserved to be cut into pieces. Old man, save your own life first. Goodbye. Lu Ming laughed as he and Qiu Yu did not stop. They quickly flashed away. The other party saw that Lu Ming and the others were just two young men, so they did not care at all. They only stared at Wu Chu and the others and attacked ferociously. Not long after, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu had already left the battlefield and appeared tens of thousands of miles away. The two of them did not have a fixed direction. Their goal was to find the Taisui treasure lotus. However, they did not know where the Taisui treasure lotus would appear in the sword tomb. They could only search randomly. The two of them randomly chose a direction and ran forward. Not long after, they found two sword sources. Beside them, there were about 20 sword emanations guarding them. Since they had encountered them, they naturally would not give up. Although the sword emanations were strong, with their battle strength, it was not too difficult. The two of them charged toward the sword sources at lightning speed. The sword emanations also noticed Lu Ming and Qiu Yu. They charged toward Lu Ming and Qiu Yu. Their bodies were like divine swords, shining with dazzling sword light as they slashed toward the two. Qiu Yu waved his hand. Two scimitars, one cold and one hot, flew out and continued to spin. The cold and hot collided, exploding with a destructive force that swept forward. The sword emanations, regardless of whether they were supreme saints or absolute saints, were instantly crushed by the destructive force. With Qiu Yu's battle strength, he could instantly kill an ordinary absolute saint expert. Boom, boom. Lu Ming's attack was even more direct. He kept punching with his fists. A phantom of the suppressing prison monument appeared and suppressed the sword emanations. All the sword emanations that were suppressed by the suppressing prison monument were instantly crushed. Even two absolute saints in the Great Completion were instantly killed. In a few breaths of time, the 20 sword emanations were cleared out by the two of them. The two of them each grabbed a sword origin and soared into the air, leaving this place. 10,000 miles away, in a valley, Lu Ming carefully examined the sword source in his hand. The sword source looked like a real battle sword from the outside, but when Lu Ming scanned it with his spiritual consciousness, he could clearly feel that it was formed by sword energy. Swallow! Lu Ming's palm exploded with a devouring power. The sword source exploded under the devouring power, turning into a gust of energy that was devoured by Lu Ming. Lu Ming sensed it carefully. He found that the sword source's energy seemed to be formed by thousands of tiny sword lights that merged with Lu Ming's saint power. They were like countless sharp sword lights, refining Lu Ming's saint power and making it stronger. Lu Ming started to refine the sword source. After more than 2 hours, Lu Ming finally finished refining the sword source's energy. My saint power has indeed become stronger and more condensed, Lu Ming thought. Chapter 1892. No wonder so many people had entered the sword tomb to search for sword sources. Some people's cultivation had reached a bottleneck and it was difficult for them to improve. However, if they refined the sword sources, they might be able to improve further. This was especially true for those who practiced the sword Dao. Lu Ming waited for a while longer before Qiu Moon finished her cultivation and refined a sword source. Then, the two of them left the place and continued their search. It would be good to obtain some sword sources while searching for the Taisui treasure lotus as they could improve their cultivation. Soon after, the two of them found another sword source and kept it for the time being. The sword tomb was really huge. Lu Ming and the two of them wandered around for a whole day, but they still couldn't see the end of it. They had also obtained 4 sword sources, which was 2 for each of them. Suddenly, a group of figures rushed out from a call in front of them and surrounded the two of them. There were 8 of them in total. They were all old men or middle-aged men, and they were all filled with killing intent. There were 5 great sages and 3 absolute sages. However, the most powerful one was only in the great achievement absolute sage realm. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. So it's 2 brats. One of them sneered and looked at Lu Ming and Qiu Moon coldly. But this girl is really beautiful. I can enjoy her. A middle-aged skinny man who was as thin as a bamboo looked at Qiu Moon with a burning gaze. Kid, hand over all the treasures you have. The skinny man said coldly. On average, there would be people entering the sword tomb every few days. Therefore, there were many people in the sword tomb. There were all kinds of people in the sword tomb. There were even some people who lived in the sword tomb all year round. They killed and robbed others of their treasures and sword sources to cultivate. In the sword tomb, no matter which faction you came from, your death would be in vain. No one would know who killed you or how you died. Obviously, these people in front of them were here to kill and rob. They were here to kill those who were alone or had a small group. I'll give you 3 breaths to get lost. 3. Lu Ming said indifferently. What? This brat told us to scram. Did I hear wrongly? Someone laughed loudly, unable to believe his own ears. Judging from the age of Lu Ming and Qiu Yu, how old were they? What level of cultivation and combat strength could they have at this age? And he even told them to scram? What a joke. 2. Lu Ming continued. His voice was even colder and filled with cold killing intent. The faces of the 8 people darkened. It seemed that Lu Ming wasn't joking. Could it be that Lu Ming had something to rely on? However, from the looks of it, Lu Ming and Li Qie were not even 30 years old. How could they be a match for them at such a young age? They had been active in the vicinity of the Tai Sword Tomb for over 100 years. During this period, they had encountered some young people, but they were no match for them. Many of them had died at their hands. However, this was the first time he had seen someone as confident as Lu Ming. 1. Lu Ming slowly spat out the last word, and the killing intent in his eyes surged. It seems that you don't want to leave. Then I'll fulfill your wish and let you be buried here with the thousands of battle swords. Lu Ming said coldly. Brat, you're boasting shamelessly. I'd like to see what you're capable of. A perfected great sage took a heavy step forward. His body was like a cannonball as he charged toward Lu Ming. His sacred power and nomological laws erupted. He was like a prehistoric giant beast, pressing down on Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming lifted his leg and kicked out. His foot landed directly on the opponent's dantian. The opponent screamed in pain. His body flew thousands of meters away and crashed into a mountain full of battle swords, creating a huge pit in the mountain. As for him, he was already exhaling more than he was inhaling. The remaining 7 people were stunned. A great saint in the complete perfection was like a baby in front of Lu Ming. He didn't even have the strength to resist. Could it be that this person had the combat strength of an absolute saint at such a young age? How was that possible? Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward. The aura of a great saint in the complete perfection was fully released. The powerful aura locked onto the other 7 people. He had already given them a chance. Since they didn't take it, he would kill them all. Anyway, these people were not good people. He did not know how many people like Lu Ming and the rest had died in their hands. Qiu Moon stood aside and didn't make a move. She knew Lu Ming's combat strength very well. She didn't need to do anything to deal with these people. Let's work together and kill him. The skinny man shouted. His aura erupted and he charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the other 6 people also moved. Each of them released their aura. Terrifying attacks bombarded Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood still. An absolute saint weapon appeared in his hand and he swept it out. A moon-like sword light burst out and slashed in all directions. All the attacks of the opponents were instantly destroyed. Blood light burst out and blood chi filled the air. The 7 figures pounced quickly, but the speed of their retreat was even faster. The 7 figures flew more than 1,000 meters and fell heavily on the ground. 6 of them had no vitality left. They were directly killed by Lu Ming's sword light. Only the skinny man still had a trace of vitality. He didn't die yet. His eyes were wide open, filled with endless horror and disbelief. He was just a young man, less than 30 years old. He actually had the cultivation of a great saint in the complete perfection. His combat strength was even more terrifying. Even he, a great saint in the great mastery, couldn't withstand a single blow. Could it be that young people nowadays were all so terrifying? They had been in the sword tomb for hundreds of years and didn't go out. Had the outside world changed? With endless questions, he breathed his last breath. Lu Ming waved his hand and the 8 people's storage rings came to his hand. He scanned the storage rings with his spiritual sense and saw the things in them at a glance. These people were really rich. The origin stones were piled up like mountains. It was obvious that they had killed many people over the years. There were also more than 10 sword sources in total. Sword sources were consumables. It was good enough to have 10 of them. Lu Ming gave half of them to Autumn Moon and left. In the next few days, they found a few more sword sources, but they still didn't see the Tai Sui lotus. It seemed that it wasn't easy to find the Tai Sui lotus. They had to be prepared for a long battle. There's a sword source over there. Suddenly, they saw a sword source in front of them. The 2 of them rushed toward it. At that moment, something strange happened. Clang! A sword cry resounded as the sword origin actually flew up on its own and whistled towards the depths of the sword tomb. The sword source moved on its own? The 2 of them didn't have time to think. They stepped into the air and chased after the sword source. However, the sword source's speed was shocking. It was like a ray of light that disappeared into the distance in an instant. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon couldn't catch up for a while. There's one there too. Chapter 1893. In another direction, a few sword sources broke through the air and flew toward the depths of the sword tomb. They were heading in the same direction as the sword sources that Lu Ming and the rest were chasing. What's going on? The 2 were puzzled. Why would the sword sources fly on their own? It would be fine if there was only one, but now there were several. The 2 chased for a while, going deeper and deeper into the sword tomb. At this time, they saw more sword sources flying toward the sword tomb, and some of them were being chased by people. Wait, Autumn Moon, wait a minute. Lu Ming stopped and frowned. There must be something wrong in the depths of the sword tomb. Otherwise, why would so many sword sources fly in the same direction? In a place like this, if there were any abnormalities, it would be either the birth of a treasure or the arrival of a danger. Lu Ming, should we chase them or not? Autumn Moon asked. She also felt that something was wrong. If they continued to chase, she did not know what would happen. Let's not go deeper. Let's see if we can find the Tai Sui treasure lotus in the outer area. Lu Ming said. Autumn Moon nodded. After that, the 2 did not continue to go deeper. They continued to search in the outer area. From time to time, they would see sword sources whizzing through the air, flying toward the depths of the sword tomb. They would also see figures flying in the air, chasing after the sword sources. When Lu Ming and Autumn Moon were lucky, they could intercept 1 or 2 sword sources along the way. Lu Ming, look, that's... Autumn Moon suddenly exclaimed and pointed at a cliff in front of them. Lu Ming looked in that direction and saw a lotus flower on the cliff. It was as white as jade and crystal clear. The strange thing was that the petals of the lotus flower were thin, long, and sharp like divine swords. The Tai Sui treasure lotus. Lu Ming had seen it in the records of the Great Pill Evolution Hall, so he recognized it at a glance. Lu Ming was overjoyed. It was really a case of traveling far and wide looking for something, only to find it by chance. They had searched for a long time without finding any trace of the Tai Sui treasure lotus. They did not expect to see it when they stopped chasing and wanted to search in the outer area. The Tai Sui treasure lotus is very intelligent. It can escape on its own. Autumn Moon, stay here and block it. I'll go get it. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon, then used the divine breathing technique and flew silently toward the Tai Sui treasure lotus. When Lu Ming was a certain distance away, dense runes appeared on his palm. He pressed his palm on the ground and the runes spread along the ground toward the Tai Sui treasure lotus. He wanted to seal the Tai Sui treasured lotus with the formation Dao to prevent it from escaping. However, the Tai Sui treasure lotus suddenly moved. It turned into a white beam of light, resembling a white sword. It broke through the sky and flew towards the depths of the tomb. Not good, we've been discovered. Qiu Yu, chase after them. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon, then used his movement technique to chase after the Tai Sui treasure lotus. Lu Ming was very fast, but so was the Tai Sui treasure lotus. It was as fast as the sword sources. Lu Ming could not catch up with it. The Tai treasure lotus is too sensitive. I was so careful, but it still found me. Lu Ming was speechless. He could only give chase. Autumn Moon followed closely behind Lu Ming. The direction in which the Tai treasured lotus fled was exactly the same as the direction in which the swords had fled. They chased the Tai treasure lotus for several hours, but they could not catch up with it. At this moment, Lu Ming could not help but miss Bubbles. If Bubbles were around, given the speed of the space-time law and the sealing power, it would not be difficult to capture the Tai treasure lotus. After chasing for a while, Lu Ming's pupils suddenly shrank. The scene in front of him shocked him. There was an abyss in front of him. Above the abyss, countless sword sources gathered and danced in the air. Sword chi soared into the sky. There were too many sword sources. It was impossible to tell how many of them there were. Around the abyss, there were many people standing in the air. At a glance, there were at least a few hundred of them. They surrounded the abyss, but did not take any action to seize the sword sources. That was because the scene was too strange. They had never seen so many sword sources gathering above the abyss. There had to be something fishy going on. No one dared to act rashly. At that moment, the Tai treasure lotus turned into a beam of sword light and disappeared into the abyss. This is troublesome. Lu Ming's face turned gloomy. It was not easy to find the Tai treasure lotus. Unfortunately, he could not take it. He could only watch as it fled into the abyss. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon stood outside, looking ahead. They did not act rashly. Many people looked at the endless source of swords. Their eyes were burning with greed. There were so many sword sources. If they could refine them, how much could their cultivation improve? However, the situation was strange. Although they were greedy, they still kept their rationality and restrained themselves. At this moment, a furious roar could be heard. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. A few figures dashed toward Lu Ming and his companion. So it's these guys. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and sneered. The person who flashed over was Wu Chu. At that moment, there were only 2 people left beside Wu Chu. It was obvious that they had suffered heavy losses. Wu Chu and the other 2 surrounded Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Brat, how dare you betray us? I'll make sure you die miserably. Wu Chu glared at Lu Ming furiously. His murderous intent was extremely strong. Previously, because of Lu Ming, not only did they not get the sword sources, but they also fought fiercely with the other party. In the end, many of them died in battle. Only the 3 of them managed to break out of the encirclement. They naturally blamed all of this on Lu Ming and the others. If Lu Ming and the others had acted according to their plan, they would not have suffered such losses. Betray you? What a joke. I only joined your team to cooperate with you. You used us as bait from the beginning. Do you think I would be stupid enough to die for you? Lu Ming smiled faintly. There was strong disdain in his eyes. Weaklings should have the awareness of weaklings. Wu Chu said coldly. Weaklings? Ha, you're already so old, but you're only in the saint realm. Do you think you're strong? Lu Ming was not afraid at all. Whether I'm strong or not, I'm strong enough to kill you. Wu Chu took a step forward and fully unleashed his cultivation as a perfected saint. His withered claw grabbed at Lu Ming with a terrifying whistling sound. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill and punched out. Bam! Lu Ming's fist collided with Wu Chu's claw. With a loud boom, both of their bodies were pushed back slightly. How is this possible? Wu Chu's eyes widened in disbelief. Lu Ming could actually block his attack. How was this possible? It was unbelievable that a perfected great saint could block the attack of a perfected saint. The others around them were also shocked. That's the law of primal chaos. He's a son of primal chaos. Chapter 1894. Many people recognized Lu Ming's law of primal chaos, and they exclaimed in shock. They hadn't expected a son of primal chaos to appear here. No wonder his battle prowess was so terrifying. Wu Chu was shocked, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He'd actually provoked a son of primal chaos. But then, the killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. Since he'd already offended him, he'd kill him and get rid of all future troubles. Otherwise, he'd be the one to die in the future. He was a decisive person. After making a decision, he immediately said, "Let's go and kill him together." He said to the other two. Autumn Moon stepped into the air, two scimitars floating around him. He said, "Lu Ming, leave these two to me." But Lu Ming nodded. Although the cultivation levels of the other two were very high, one was a great sage and the other was a peak great sage, given Qiu Yu's cultivation level, it would not be a problem for her to block them. Autumn Moon stepped into the air, surrounded by the law of yin and yang, and charged toward the two. The two sides immediately clashed. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted. He used the divine sword technique, and his soul pierced toward the other party like a sword. At the same time, Lu Ming stretched out his finger and pointed at the void. Endless energy gathered in the void, forming a huge finger that pressed down on Wu Chu. Wu Chu's pupils contracted rapidly, and a chill ran down his spine. It was as if he was facing a fatal danger. Heavenly Centipede Claw. Wu Chu roared and unleashed his strength to the extreme. He used a divine power, and a huge claw formed, grabbing toward the chaotic calamity finger. Boom! The huge claw and the chaotic calamity finger collided. The void began to tremble violently. In the next moment, under Wu Chu's horrified gaze, the claw he had condensed collapsed. The powerful force of the primal chaos tribulation finger slammed into his body, causing him to cough up large mouthfuls of blood. His body crashed heavily into the ground. Wu Chu's battle prowess wasn't very strong in the absolute saint realm. His theurgy was only at 85%, and it was just an ordinary law. It couldn't be compared to the 88% chaotic disaster finger. It was too weak. Wu Chu was severely injured in one move. That attack just now was Lu Ming's strongest attack. Primal Chaos Calamity Finger. Lu Ming pointed his finger again, and another chaos finger of calamity was formed. Wu Chu revealed a look of despair as he desperately tried to resist. However, after this attack, Wu Chu's injuries became even more severe. Half of his body almost exploded. Facing ordinary martial artists, Lu Ming could completely cross a realm and kill the enemy. Boom, boom. Then, Lu Ming punched continuously. The terrifying fist force drowned Wu Chu. Wu Chu howled madly, letting out a roar of unwillingness. He did everything he could to resist, but gradually his voice became softer and softer until it finally disappeared. By the time Lu Ming stopped, Wu Chu had already disappeared. His body and soul had been destroyed, leaving only a storage ring on the ground. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming collected Wu Chu's storage ring. The faces of the two people who were fighting Autumn Moon changed drastically as they were filled with fear. That pinnacle absolute saint broke through Qiu Autumn Moon's attack and tried to escape. "Do you think you can escape?" Lu Ming said coldly. His figure flashed, and he instantly caught up with that person. He pointed his finger, and the chaos finger of calamity was formed, crushing toward that person. That person screamed in pain as his body was torn apart, and he died on the spot. A pinnacle absolute saint expert was instantly killed by Lu Ming. The remaining absolute saint expert was also turned into ashes under Qiu Autumn Moon's destructive energy. 3 great experts had died so quickly at the hands of 2 young people, which made the nearby people very solemn. The Son of Chaos is really shocking. His combat strength is incredible. It's better not to provoke such a peerless genius. I'm afraid there's a terrifying force behind him. Some people discussed as they looked at Lu Ming and Qiu Autumn Moon solemnly. Lu Ming and Qiu Autumn Moon stood on one side and looked toward the abyss. The others also calmed down and looked toward the endless sword source. As time passed, more and more people gathered, which made many people's faces turn gloomy. Forget it. If this continues, more and more people will come, and we won't be able to get many sword sources. I want to try and see if there's anything strange about it. Finally, someone couldn't take it anymore. An old man stepped out and rushed toward the sword sources. He was very close to the sword sources, but there was nothing strange. Grab them. The old man stretched out a large hand, which was formed by Saint Power, and grabbed toward the sword sources. The hand grabbed, but there was still nothing strange. The old man grabbed a dozen sword sources and put them away. Ha! The old man was overjoyed. There was no danger at all. They were overthinking. Seeing that there was no danger, the others all looked greedy. They were about to fight for the sword sources. At this moment, a terrifying sword light suddenly slashed out from the abyss below. Oh no! The old man's face changed drastically. He waved his hand and set up layers of defense, trying to block it. However, the sword light slashed through the old man's defense instantly. The sword light didn't stop. The old man screamed as his body was cut in half. His body fell into the abyss and disappeared. Everyone was shocked and stopped in their tracks. "There's someone in the abyss!" Someone exclaimed. Sure enough, a person holding a long sword stepped out from the abyss. It was a middle-aged man in a brocade robe. His aura was extremely shocking. He had reached the peak of the absolute saint realm. Clearly, the sword light just now was from this person. There was someone in the abyss? Could it be that the sword sources were gathering because of this person? Kill! The man roared. Sword Chi whistled and charged toward the crowd. It's just a peak absolute saint. Let's work together and kill him. Someone shouted and counterattacked. Then, someone else attacked. There were many experts who had entered the sword tomb to explore. They came from all over the Yuan mountain. Even the weakest of them was a great saint. Many of them were absolute saints, and there was no lack of peak absolute saints among them. 3 peak absolute saints attacked and fought with the person who had walked out of the abyss. The person who had walked out of the abyss was naturally no match for them. However, the person who had walked out of the abyss didn't seem to be afraid of death. He attacked with all his might and didn't care about defense. Something's not right. This person doesn't seem to have any intelligence. He only knows how to attack. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He found that the person who had walked out of the abyss had empty eyes. He looked like a walking corpse. Oh no! Someone else has walked out of the abyss. Someone shouted. Everyone looked over. More figures had appeared in the abyss, and it wasn't just 1 or 2. There were many of them. One figure after another appeared, filled with cold killing intent. As soon as they appeared, they charged toward the crowd. That's the leader of the Round Blade faction. I know him. I heard that he had been adventuring in the sword tomb. So he's here? That's Wind chasing sword Lu Shilang. He doesn't seem to recognize me at all. Exclamations sounded. Chapter 1895. More and more people stepped out of the abyss. Without saying a word, they charged toward the crowd. In the end, more than 100 people stepped out. They were all experts, and most of them were absolute saints. These people were not afraid of death and were very troublesome. The scene fell into chaos. These people are just walking corpses. Let's work together and kill them. Someone shouted. There were at least 300 to 400 people here, and they were all experts. They worked together and attacked the people who had walked out of the abyss. That is, at this moment, Lu Ming saw a person and was shocked. Because Lu Ming actually knew one of them. The Life and Death Sword Sect Master. Lu Ming had never thought that he would see the Life and Death Sword Sect Master here. Back in the Tsang state, they had been ambushed by the evil spirit sect. In the end, they had broken out together. The Life and Death Sword Sect Master had brought Luo Xiang and succeeded in breaking out. He had never thought that he would appear in the sword tomb. Moreover, the Life and Death Sword Sect Master was like those people who had walked out of the abyss. He had completely lost his mind. His eyes were empty, and only his cultivation and combat power were left. The Life and Death Sword technique of the Life and Death Sword Sect Master was very terrifying. With one sword, an absolute saint expert's forehead was pierced. Junior brother, you're courting death. An old man roared and charged toward the Life and Death Sword Sect Master. This person was at the peak of the absolute saint realm. With one slash, he destroyed the Life and Death Sword Sect Master's attack. The saber didn't stop and slashed toward the Life and Death Sword Sect Master. Lu Ming took a step forward and threw a punch, sending that person's saber flying. What are you doing? This person is crazy. He has lost his mind. The person shouted. I'll take care of him. Lu Ming said indifferently. The peak absolute saint was very afraid of Lu Ming. He gritted his teeth and left to kill the people who had walked out of the abyss. The life and death sword sect master attacked again. The sword light pierced through the sky. Lu Ming could see that the life and death sword sect master's cultivation was at the peak of the absolute saint realm. Lu Ming punched out and destroyed the life and death sword sect master's sword light. Senior, wake up! Lu Ming shouted. His voice rumbled like thunder and blasted into the head of the life and death sword faction. The leader of the life and death sword faction did not seem to notice anything and continued to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming blocked the other party's attack and shouted continuously, but the other party did not react at all. Lu Ming, this person's soul seems to have been obliterated. Autumn Moon appeared beside Lu Ming and said, What's going on? Lu Ming frowned. The leader of the Life and Death Sword faction had a good relationship with the Dragon God Valley in the past. They had fought against enemies together. Lu Ming did not want to see the leader of the Life and Death Sword faction fall, but unfortunately, there was nothing he could do. Lu Ming, is this someone you know? But he has indeed fallen. If you can't bear it, then give him to someone else. Autumn Moon said. Lu Ming nodded and quickly retreated with Autumn Moon, killing the other people who had walked out of the abyss. As for the leader of the Life and Death Sword faction, he continued to kill the others. However, there were even more people outside. Soon, the leader of the Life and Death Sword faction was surrounded by a few experts. His body exploded and fell into the abyss. Lu Ming sighed. The leader of a sect in the Tsang state, an overlord of a region, had ended up like this after leaving the Tsang state. He had escaped from the evil spirit sect, but in the end, he had fallen here. Lu Ming could not help but think about Luo Xiang, who was with the leader of the Life and Death Sword faction. He was an upright person and also a terrifying genius. He had stayed at the same cultivation level and nurtured his sword soul for 15 years. No one knew what kind of achievements he could achieve in the future. Had he also perished? Lu Ming's thoughts were many, but his attacks did not stop. He killed 2 people who had walked out of the abyss. There were fewer people who had walked out of the abyss. In the end, they were surrounded and killed one by one. However, these people were very powerful and did not fear death. The people outside had also paid a heavy price. About 100 people were killed, and their blood dyed the ground red. When the last person who had walked out of the abyss was killed, everyone's gaze turned back to the abyss. Was there anyone else in the abyss? Why were those people like walking corpses? Were they being controlled? Many people's eyes flickered as various thoughts ran through their minds. However, no one dared to go up and snatch the sword sources. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, the sword sources gathered together and flew down into the abyss. In less than a minute, the endless source of swords flew down into the abyss and disappeared. Everyone looked at each other. All the sword sources had flown down into the abyss. What should they do? Should they go down? However, the abyss was very mysterious and terrifying. Previously, more than 100 experts had walked out of the abyss. All of them had no intelligence and were like walking corpses. They only knew how to kill. What was at the bottom of the abyss? Was it the appearance of a rare treasure that attracted the sword sources, or was there some danger? Everyone looked at each other. They all wanted the others to go down first to explore. If there was danger, they could retreat in time. Everyone had the same thought. Who would take the lead? After a moment of stalemate, someone finally spoke. Everyone, we can't go on like this. Why don't we join forces and explore together? A purple-robed elder suggested. Alright, I agree. Instead of being in a stalemate, why don't we join forces and explore together? A burly man said. Alright then. Those who want to go down and explore, take a few steps forward. Those who don't want to go down, retreat. We won't force you. The purple-robed elder said and took a step forward. Following that, the burly man also took a step forward. Some people pondered for a moment before taking a step forward. Disregarding everything else, the endless sword sources were definitely an irresistible temptation. If they could obtain a part of it, their cultivation would definitely improve rapidly. Especially those who cultivated the sword. Not only could it improve their cultivation, but it could also temper their swordsmanship and improve their comprehension of the law of the sword. Even if there was danger, it was worth taking the risk. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu also took a step forward. The Tai Sui treasure lotus had escaped into the abyss. No matter what, they had to go down and search for it. Otherwise, they did not know when they would find it. However, not everyone wanted to go down and explore. Some shook their heads and took a few steps back. The abyss was too strange. No one could predict what dangers there would be. If they lost their lives, what was the point of obtaining the sword sources? However, only a few people retreated. More people planned to go down and explore. Everyone, those who don't want to go down, let them stay here forever. At this time, a cold light flashed in the purple-robed elder's eyes as he transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and the others. Why? Someone asked with a glint in his eyes. Those who don't want to go down have ulterior motives. They probably want us to go down first to explore. Who knows if they will go down after we go down? There's no such good thing in the world. Also, some people are probably waiting for us to come out and then ambush us. If we get injured down there, won't we be killed by these scoundrels? So, these people can't be left alive. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.